Hello and welcome into the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. Tonight you are watching our coverage of the NACE Collegiate Overwatch Tournament. Tonight our first matchup will be Boise State versus Kennesaw State, and then our second match to wrap up the night will be Boise State versus Bay State. These are approaching the playoff games the grand finals, so these teams are definitely very high skill, high-tier teams that will be facing off against each other tonight, so we expect these matches to be not only exciting, but also very impactful in terms of who is going to make it to the grand finals tonight. I am your host, Colby D'Angelo Alloway. You can see our lovely trophies there to call all of the action tonight. But before we get into that event, we do actually have some Overwatch just in general news for the game. The Overwatch Anniversary Remix event Part 1 is currently live and will be live through April 26th, and it has skins like Zealot Zenyatta, my personal fave, but some other big name skins are Demon Genji and Mage Mercy that are also coming out as part of this event, and this event is part of a 3-part Overwatch Anniversary event that will be replacing Summer Games, Archives, and the normal Anniversary event, just so that we can go full tilt ahead into Overwatch 2 development. So get hyped for Overwatch 2 and get hyped for the matchup tonight. And before that, we're going to look at the standings before we're going to get into Boise State versus Kennesaw State. As you can see here, Boise State versus Kennesaw State. This is double elimination here, and then the winner of this will go up against Bay State late. We're hoping it's Boise State. Boise State is projected to win this, so we will have a second matchup tonight. This is Boise State versus Kennesaw State. This is the 6th and 8th seed teams going against each other. So on paper, this looks like it will be really, really close, even though Boise State is slightly favored. And just so that some keys that all of these players can benefit from would be Doc's keys to the game, which, just as a reminder, in Overwatch, you want to understand your comp/playstyle, you want to focus on each fight, you want to get good ult value, and the objective is greater than kills. And Doc's keys to the game are brought to you by Drop-In Gaming. Drop-In Gaming is the premier online platform for gamers who seek competition. Play your favorite games to win cash and prizes through free and paid entry matches and tournaments. Whether you are new to the scene or a seasoned veteran, Drop-In Gaming has the right games and competition for you. To begin your competitive gaming journey, sign up at dropingaming.com. And with that, we're going to go straight into the lineups, the players that will be directly using these Doc's keys to the game. That is Matt Merck, Kel, Maxwell Plato, Asu, and Bagel. The big swap that we're looking at here is Asu, swapping in for Chosen, who has been a Boise State mainstay on the starter lineup. So Asu definitely is trying to rise to the challenge tonight against Kennesaw State here. We know they're both very competent Baptiste players, so all eyes will be on Asu tonight as they prove they have what it takes to be in this starting lineup. And with that, I think we're just going to go ahead and get into the match. It's Boise State versus Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State, excuse me. This will be a good matchup. Boise State does have one main swap in there, so we will see how Asu will be able to perform, presumably on the Baptiste. We haven't seen a lot of play, so we're super, super excited to see him in particular play tonight as a starter against Kennesaw State, because Boise State wouldn't have put him in this position if we didn't think that he can do it here tonight against Kennesaw State. First map is going to be Control. We are on Oasis here. You get the lovely little pan around. Some common strategies that Boise State likes to run, and it actually looks like the fight has already started in that left-hand room there. It looks like we have the Reinhardt, the Mei, the Symmetra on the side of Boise State, presumably in the blue. And that is correct. Boise State is in the blue. We have Kel on the Diva, always a mainstay. Asu on the Baptiste, just like we thought. Boise State leading the ultimate economy in everything except for Amplification Matrix. Amplification Matrix is going to come out, but the members of Boise State wisely line of sight it. Kel eating a lot of damage there with the Defense Matrix, and Amplification Matrix is going to come out, but get no value. Prototyper on the Diva getting taken very weak. They will get taken out of mech courtesy of Bagel. Bagel will even get the boot kill on a Prototyper, and that is both tanks down for Kennesaw State, and immediately their Baptiste is going to follow them into the grave there as the rest of the members of Boise State clean up Kennesaw State. Very first clean fight win from Boise State here. Kennesaw State, they did a wonderful job of charging the amplification matrix fast and first, but Boise State expected that, and they just line of sighted it, and then came back to get the ace. And as we set up here, ASU has their own amplification matrix, but it looks like they're just going to teleport in and use that Earth Shatter onto Kenton. That's a feels bad right there, getting the Shatter kill. Matt Merck is going to be taken weak, but luckily a well-placed Immortality Field courtesy of ASU is going to be able to keep Matt Merck up just barely long enough to get healed. Nitro Galaxy and Wads are going to go down as well, and you got to think that's a fight win for Boise State, even as the remaining member Prototyper does get a little bit staggered out there. And Boise State, that only cost them 2 ultimates. They still have more going into this next fight. All eyes will be on Kel to try to eat Wad's Blizzard, because that is the best chance that Kennesaw State has right now, in addition to the beat, which will be useful to try to aggro push or even just run away from the members of Boise State as it was used there. Kel's not going to get a ton of value with the Diva Bomb. I have to wonder if that was intentional, as Maxwell, ASU, and Matt Merck are going to go down off the back of a Shatter from Nitro Galaxy. We were expecting the Blizzard to be the big ultimate, but no, it is absolutely the Earth Shatter this fight, and that is going to be a point flip, 81% to now 2% and climbing for Kennesaw State here. Boise State only needs to theoretically win 1 fight to take this point down, to take this point and take it from 81 to 100% here. And Kennesaw State didn't have to use the Blizzard to win this, so they might have this next fight if Boise State is caught unprepared. But it looks like Kennesaw State is the one that are going to be caught unprepared here. Boise State just teleports directly to the point, and Kennesaw State is unable to get on it, so Boise State's just going to go ahead and flip that at 19% for Kennesaw and 88 and climbing for Boise State, as the remaining members of Kennesaw are going to be eliminated in that room. Boise State just kind of juked and walked around them, and they weren't ready for it, even as that bomb's going to be dropped on the point. Ultimately, a useless ult to commit there, as the fight was already lost on the side of Prototyper there. But sometimes you just have to take the fight, because Boise State won that 100-19. A little bit of a hiccup in the road for Boise State there. They did lose the fight to the Earth Shatter, but they were able to take it back pretty cleanly before Kennesaw even had the opportunity to use the Blizzard. And this kind of sealed the fate of Kennesaw here on map 1 on Oasis, that Shatter in the room. Honestly, Shatters have been the most impactful ultimates on both teams so far in this map 1. We saw Matt Mert get a huge one. We saw the Kennesaw State Reinhardt get a huge one that actually won them that 19% there. So it looks like, even though we're expecting other ultimates to be bigger, all eyes should be on the 2 Reinhardts here. If they choose to run Reinhardt, this is not necessarily a map that favors that. And it looks like Matt Merck is going to come out on the Ball and the Diva. Both teams kind of circling each other, trying to figure out where the other is. And it does look like that will be Boise State still in the blue here. And Kennesaw State on the Ball, Diva, as well as Boise State. This is a mostly mirror comp here. There are a couple of differences in the DPS here with Wads on Soldier 76 and Kenzen on Tracer, whereas Boise State is opting to swap that Tracer for a Echo. Kenzen is going to win the battle of the Tracers against Plato there. Huge job. Nitro Galaxy is going to take out Matt Merck, which is no small task, and that is Boise State down 2, being forced to back off here because they don't have the members to take this fight right now. Maxwell will be unable to get out, and neither will Bagel. And you got to think that's just a fight reset for Boise State here, as all their members have been wiped. Plato coming back, trying to get what spam damage they can, presumably, to walk in the next fight with a Pulse Bomb. But they're not trying to touch the point, and that is a wise decision, as Kennesaw is going to take it 4% and climbing. Boise State has changed their approach slightly. Maxwell has swapped over to the Sombra, and their primary goal will be to try to charge an EMP as fast as physically possible. But Kennesaw State has an ultimate advantage after that first fight because they have Pulse Bomb, they almost have Attack Visor, and they almost have Mines. And an Attack Visor from the high ground could potentially be huge, as Nitro Galaxy is going to be discorded. Matt Merck is just going to go in, try to get the Zenyatta. They will be moved back. That Zenyatta lives to see another fight here. Prototyper running after their team. Matt Merck inting into the room here just to use the mines, and understandably so. Brig will be taken weak on the side of Kennesaw State. That Zenyatta's still living though, and that's who Matt Merck is after. They're just going to roll away, unable to capitalize and get those eliminations as Wads and Maxwell are going to go down. DPS for a DPS, pretty even trade. This is still anybody's fight as Kennesaw State is 50% and climbing on the point. Kamsky on the Zenyatta getting eliminated. That's a bit more impactful for Boise State here. That's exactly what that Brig is weak. Matt Merck is going to take it for all of us there. We hate to see the 1 HP Brig not get eliminated. Kel is going to get eliminated off screen by Kenzen there. And this is still a relatively even fight. Boise State hasn't been able to take the point. There are members valiantly trying as Matt Merck is going to go down, and that's their backline harassment that they have just lost. And unless Boise State can clean up the remaining members of Kennesaw on the point, and they will be unable to do so as Wads is just gonna laser down Bagel from low ground to high ground, which is a major point of skill on Wads' part. Boise State, they spent about 50% trying to take and win that fight, and they lost. So they're now in the very difficult position of trying to flip point with 91 and climbing with 0% of their own here. Plato's going to lob the pulse bomb onto the ball, not get the stick though, so they will not get the elimination. And then Boise State, 3 members on the point, trying to catch before 99, 0 to 99 here. Boise State has to win this fight if they want to take Oasis. If they don't, we're going to go ahead to Oasis map 3 Wads. Nitro Galaxy going to go down. That is Boise State up 2. Now is the time to push if you're Boise State. Bagel's going to do just that and get the elimination onto ISO. Kel's going to push that high ground and get the elimination onto Kamsky. Plato's going to win the Battle of the Tracers this time against Ken's. And Boise State is going to win that fight, but they are now in the very difficult position of being forced to defend a point against 99%. Boise State loses a single fight, and they are out of this, and they know it. So they are playing super aggressive. They don't want Kennesaw State to get fully regrouped. The EMP is going to drop onto 2 members, but the follow-up elimination will come out onto Nitro Galaxy. Maxwell and Asu will be eliminated, leaving Boise State down 1. Kenzen will be taken weak, but not quite eliminated, still leaving the fight favor in Kennesaw State's favor. Boise State backing off, playing a little bit less aggressive on the point, but they can't hand this point over because it's at 99, and Boise State is only 42 and climbing here. Cal has the bomb if they should choose to use it. Watts is going to win the DPS battle against Plato and get that elimination. Transcendence is going to come out, just trying to keep the members of Boise State alive here. We have Asu popping out on that Moira just for a little bit of contest here. Cal's going to try to do something about the high ground, and something is done as Watts is eliminated by Matt Merck, as well as the Tracer. Kennesaw State, that is, they have no DPS here, so you got to think Boise State's a little bit safer, just lacking that damage to get the eliminations they need to get. Cal's still holding onto the bomb, will probably use it if they get threatened in mech, but they haven't been able to win the fight 100%. Bomb will be committed here, 74 and climbing. We are approaching last fight territory here for both teams. Cal's going to get eliminated, not even get the remake, and that is huge for the side of Kennesaw as they're slowly capping with a single member on the point. Boise State's got a touch. It's 99 to 85 here, and this is a really, really long fight. And that still has not been won yet. Both teams are trading. Plato's going to win the Battle of the Tracer on the Kenzen with the assistance of Bagel on that Zenyatta. Kel's got a touch. It's 92 to 99, and Kennesaw State has managed to cap the point, so Boise State has to completely wipe them off it if they even want to take this 99 to 99. This is still anybody's fight here as neither team has their full team here. Members are staggering in, trying to see what value they can get, and Kel's the one getting value right now with that elimination on the watch. Kamsky's low. They will get eliminated courtesy of that EMP and followed by that Merc. And winning the Battle of Tracers against Plato there, and will take Kel out of mech on point for that. Kel, Baby Diva main, hitting enough shots to send Kenzen running into Asu, who will immediately pick up that elimination as Maxwell picks up one as well. Boise State manages to flip the point, taking it 96 and climbing. Matt Merck is just going to wisely line of sight that bomb after eliminating the Baby Diva. And now Boise State just has to wipe all members. Overtime is ticking down though. Tranquility Zenyatta barely gets there after a valiant boop attempt on Asu's part there. Kamsky's going to go down immediately after the Tranquility, which is what we expected. Matt Merck focusing down that Lucio. We want it, we need it, we got it. Boise State wants this point. Members of Kennesaw are being forced to walk into a minefield directly on the point because they have no other option. This is 99-99. This is do or die, and Boise State's going to be the one that does it and takes map 1, Oasis. Map 2, gotta say, much closer than map 1 was on that Oasis there. Boise State took a really, really long fight, and they were almost punished for it. They gave up 50% of the point in a single fight that they ended up losing, and it almost cost them. Individual members were able to clutch at the end here, but Kennesaw State has shown that they are absolutely a team that will punish Boise State for taking those long fights and losing them. So this is still a game, even though Boise State won for map 1 Oasis. We will be going to a map 2. Hopefully Boise State will be able to pick up the win on this one, and we're going to go ahead and get right into that. Map 2 is going to be Numbani. We have not seen a lot of King's Row on these hybrid maps here. And Numbani is a map that Boise State has some experience, even within this NACE tournament. Luckily, we're not going to be going against a super intense double bubble here tonight, and it looks like we do have Matt Merck on the ball. I would presume this is Boise State in the blue still, with Kel on the Diva. Kel is a Diva main. They do an absolutely amazing job every time they are on that Diva. Both of these teams are going to set up, and it looks like the attackers here have a Monkey and presumably a Diva. They will be looking to dive most likely that upper left-hand corner where Bagel will probably be stationed. So Asu will have to be amazing at peel here, as their members of Boise State are all spread out across this high ground. But they all have the ability to get to you. Nitro Galaxy get that Discord, but they know where Bagel is, and they want it. Preparing for the dive, Matt Burke will be eliminated. Now might be their opportunity, should they choose to dive. Nitro Galaxy is going to be eliminated. You gotta think that puts a little bit of a kink in their dive as Wads is gonna go down. Isu exchanges Wads for Nitro Galaxy, getting the res, but without your Echo on the DPS, they don't even have the damage to fully commit to this dive here. No eliminations are coming out for either side. Nitro Galaxy just on point, getting what poke they can, but can't do enough damage with Winston's little tickle gun, as Bagel's gonna go ahead and eliminate Nitro Galaxy. And Goblin will be the price for Boise State to pay here, getting just a little bit too aggressive in the face of Prototyper on that Diva. Kel is going to eliminate Kezin with the help of Bagel, and you gotta think Kennesaw State, if they can't do something about Bagel, they will be unable to take this point, even with the Echo Mercy with tons of damage. Both teams kind of like soft resetting here, backing off just enough. Not hard engaging. Matt Burke is going to go ahead and roll through the entire side of Kennesaw State, but with no stuns, they've got nothing to stop. They are finally going to dive Bagel. Bagel has the Tranquility. They will keep themselves up. Kel's going to peel for Bagel, which is always what you want your baby Diva to do. Kamski with force support going down. ISO, second support going down. That is both supports down for Kennesaw State, and Boise State is only down a single DPS as Watt is going to win the Battle of the Echoes. Nitro Galaxy is also going to go down. That is Boise State up 2 and climbing here. This is a fight win for Boise State. Kennesaw State was finally able to commit to the dive on Bagel, but Bagel had a whole fight of popping off to charge that Tranquility, and so Kennesaw State still hasn't been able to scratch Bagel on that Zenyatta, and that's their win con. That's what we're looking at here. Whether or not Nitro Galaxy and Prototyper are able to dive Bagel with Asu's assistance and get that elimination on that Zenyatta, it's been a terror. Valk is going to be committed. You got to think this dive is looking pretty good, as some of the members of Kennesaw State are waiting for their cooldowns. Nitro Galaxy is going to go down, and Goblin is not going to let them get that res. They're camping that body in the corner. They drive the members of Kennesaw State in the building. Kamski's going to go down, but so is Plato, leaving Boise State still up 1 in this fight. And Mercy unable to res just because Goblin is on their butt. ISO is not getting it, Goblin says. Goblin's going to go for the elimination on the baby Diva. Prototyper taken out of mech. Goblin taken real weak. They will be eliminated, as well as Matt Merck. A couple members of Boise State getting just too aggressive. Wads is going to get the pulse bomb elimination on the Asu, and Bagel goes down with no members of Boise State remaining, and Prototyper getting rezzed by ISO. Kennesaw State is going to take this with 30 seconds remaining, and now 3 extra minutes are added to the clock, 3 minutes and 21 seconds, climbing down to attack this second point. Boise State's not letting them take any more space than they absolutely have to, as tanks have respawned and Boise State is already in it. They're looking to take this fight in corner. Goblin swapped over the Cole Cassidy, which is a wise decision, I believe. Duplicate will be committed by Kennesaw State. Nitro Galaxy taking a lot of Discord damage. They will be forced to commit the Primal just to stay alive, as Goblin is picked first yet again by Prototyper with that Ana assist, and that's Boise State down 1 and a DPS with a stun at that. Things are not looking very good this fight. Boise State has to play less aggressively, and ISO completely changes that by getting eliminated, but then Bagel and Asu go down as well. This is still anybody's fight. Wads and Matt Merck are equally going to go down. This is a trade. This is a trade for a trade on both sides. Kennesaw State will finally be able to pick up that fight, which was really, I think, scrappy on Boise State's part. It was unfortunate that they were down 1 initially, but then they were able to get the elimination on the ISO, but they committed so hard that their own backline was left without any peel, and that is ultimately what lost them that fight. And now they are put in the very awkward position of having to win this next fight, or Kennesaw State will take second point. And honestly, with Bagel getting eliminated before the fight begins, not looking pretty good, as Asu and Goblin are going to go down as well, and you think that that's probably Kennesaw State's going to get it, even as Matt Merck rolls around, wisely decides not to commit to that fight, and it actually looks like we might be going for a whole comp swap here. Nitro Galaxy not letting Kel get into spawn. They immediately eliminated him after the DMAC. Nitro Galaxy is almost not going to get out of there, though. Goblin reminding them that he is a fearsome DPS on that Cole Cassidy still. Matt Merck has pulled out the Reinhardt for this final corner. Nano Monkey's going to go in, get pooped out. We have a full support line swap as well, as with Asu and Bagel. Goblin's going to get huge Deadeye value on the Nitro Galaxy. Bagel's going to get the boop on the Kensen, not off the map. Watts is going to get the elimination on the Plato with Echo's Beam of Death, but it does look like Plato is just the price there for a one fight for Boise State. And you kind of think, not too terribly high a price to pay. But then Goblin is going to overextend literally in their spawn and get eliminated himself, and that puts a little bit of a kink in all of Boise State's plans, as they're now not able to hold as aggressively, and they have to back up to this corner, even as Amplification Matrix is committed to hold this corner. Boise State still waiting on that Cole Cassidy respawn, but they do have Plato, and they do have Matt Merck with the gigantic shatters. Asu's going to get the elimination on the Nitro Galaxy off the cusp of that shatter, and Boise State is back in your spawn, Kennesaw. Better get to running here. A huge sleep is going to come out. The Rally and the Purple are also going to be committed. That is Boise State locked between a bomb and the remaining members of Kennesaw State in a room, and they are going to lose that fight, primarily because of the Brig Rally. ISO woke up that fight and chose violence. The Rally came out, the Purple came out, and that is what enabled them to win that fight and now push the cart. So Boise State will be able to get a full 6 members in the fight before this next engage here. They do have a one full fight attempt here to wipe Kennesaw State off of it with 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining as the members of Boise State come out to the point just like we thought they were going to. Matt Merck just swinging away 61% of that chatter and climbing Kensen. Going to be the first elimination, which is good looking for Boise State, but Asu and Matt Merck are going to go down to the wads on the Echo Duplicate. Nobody was expecting the Doomfist Duplicate because Goblin immediately swapped. And because of that double kill on the duplication, Kennesaw State is going to cap final point Numbani with 1 minute and 12 seconds remaining, which is not a ton of time. And honestly, with as close as these two, this was a pretty big Deadeye, prevented them from getting super aggressive. This enabled Boise State to push here. The Purple came out, but the remaining members of Boise State just kept pressing W, which is exactly what you want to see. Just because your Cole Cassidy has to take a half-second break does not mean that you don't have to quit pushing W. And then Boise State went into their spawn. And that's a little bit of a different story. They were definitely punished for that. We are seeing both teams punished for misplays. And 1 minute 12 is not bad for Kennesaw State to have here, capping that final point there. With teams that are as close as 6th and 8th seeds, we're expecting both teams to cap. That just becomes the norm as we get further in the playoffs and as we approach the grand finals. You expect teams to cap. 1 minute and 12, though, Boise State had a phenomenal defense, especially first and third point. which are usually the big holding points on Numbani anyways. Boise State also demonstrated incredible versatility. They swapped their whole comp for third point because their comp wasn't working for second point, and they were able to get an extra 3 minutes, or an extra 2.5 minutes, excuse me, off of the clock just because of that comp swamp and because they were able to adapt to the things that Kennesaw State was doing. And now Kennesaw State is on the defense with the Orisa Diva. Understandable, the Orisa is holding that upper left-hand corridor there, but it looks like Boise State's just gonna go below them. Force that Orisa to drop, see what they can get on point here. Boise State is on the point, all members are on. Matt Berg is the one to touch as everybody else is safely in that room. Boise State is doing the hard rotations here. On these hybrid maps, Boise State likes to run around and do a little bit of rotating. And this will cost them. There has been 30 seconds committed to this fight. If they lose it, that's a lot of time to commit to a lost fight. Matt Merck is going to be forced to drop. So is Plato. Matt Merck coming to defend Plato's honor, but Asu's down, and you got to think, hold on though. That elimination onto both of the support lineups for Kennesaw State. Teams are even. Kennesaw State without support though, but Boise State without main heals. They can't play as aggressively as they want to, but they want that Orisa off the high ground, and they get it. Bagel's going to get that elimination. Plato's going to get eliminated as well. This is still a pretty scrappy fight for Boise State, but the supports for Kennesaw State are still coming back. We do have that Mercy back on the side of the support for Kennesaw State. Asu's Immortality Field is going to be taken down, proving that Asu is also in this fight. Boise State almost has a tick and still contesting. They just need to focus whoever is on the point. And right now, the members of Kennesaw State are rotating that responsibility. Boise State almost gets a tick here as the Tracer's going to go ahead and touch it. Nano Monkey comes out. Matt Merck misses the pin. So Bagel gets eliminated, and so does Goblin. That is an unfortunate thing that happens sometimes. You miss a single ability and 2 members of your team die, but Boise State still in this fight. As Kel and Asu are going to make up for it, Matt Merck gets a huge shatter and 1 elimination. They really want to kind of redeem themselves for that pin there, and they definitely more than did that. Boise State is still struggling to cap this point because they don't have the members to hard commit here. Goblin is in your backline, on your Ana, on your Mercy, looking to spawn camp some people on that Sombra and charge EMP. Bagel will get eliminated. Isu will get the res onto Kenzen. And it looks like Boise State might have just spent 3 minutes on a single tick here as the members are going to back off. People are still fighting, but nobody is touching the point. Both teams looking for an elimination. Right as I say that, Matt Merck is going to go ahead and touch that point on that ball. Get on your back line, on your Ana. Iso's down. So Matt Merck can get this elimination. That will be huge. Plato's going to get it for him, and Plato's going to take Nitro Galaxy down with the Death Blossom as well. And just, you know, take Kenton as just a little extra there. Asu will go down to Wads, which is not less than optimal for Boise State and will prevent them from pushing as far as they want to, because now they're down their main tank and their main support, but they will be able to get this point. And now 3 minutes and 32 seconds in the time bank, and it looks like Plato was thinking about swapping, but not quite. Reaper's going to stay on the cart, and Boise State does not have the ability to take space yet, because it does seem like Asu did get long spawn, so all members are just pushing the cart, trying to get to this corner. This next fight will probably happen between corner and bus, because Kennesaw State is definitely in a position to engage. They definitely have a fight here, especially as the sticky bombs come out. Kenzen getting eliminated, though. That might ruin their first fight between the bus here, and the members are going to wisely back off in the face of Boise State's aggression here. Valkyrie will be forced to be committed. Plato will go down. That'll put a little bit of a damper on things. Kennesaw State still, Nano Monkey's gonna come out. Nano Monkey's been huge every other time they've done it almost. Goblin will get eliminated by Wads with both supports assisting, and you gotta think that was probably a little nasty. Kel going after Wads in the sky, but ignoring ISO on the Mercy. They will get the elimination on the Wads, but Mercy will get away. No, not quite. Matt Merck's mind says no, and you gotta think that's probably fight for Boise State, especially as Kamsky go down. It's really unfortunate that Bagel died to that bomb. Kel's gonna get remixed on. Oh, the dishonor. We're still trying to take down that Primal Monkey on point. The members of Kennesaw State putting out a valiant effort to stall here, and the members of Boise State were not quite focusing hard enough to stop them stalling an extra 15 seconds there. As this card approaches, Kennesaw State has 2 ultimates to try to go against this final point here. But Goblin has EMP. EMP will come out on the members, one of which is the Echo, which is huge. ISO's gonna get followed up on. Kamsky's gonna get followed up on. No support from the side of Kennesaw State. Boise State still full 6 members in team here as they are now up 5. Just kind of doing some cleanup and seeing what staggers we can get here as we cap the point with 3 minutes and 4 seconds remaining. Now, Kennesaw State still has a decent hold here. Boise State came to this point with about 3 minutes remaining. And Kennesaw State was able to hold them for 1 minute and 12. We see the comp swap for Kennesaw State as well. Nitro Galaxy on that Reinhardt, Wads on that base. Boise State better tap that out. Kamsky's gonna get eliminated again. That's a good fight for Boise State, especially as Nitro Galaxy follows that out as well. If Boise State can continue to target focus and keep people alive, this could be just a 3rd-point cap right here. Matt Merck is in your spawn looking for the eliminations. And it does look like Plato is over there on the right-hand spawn looking for eliminations. With Goblin on the Sombra, the engage does begin. Matt Merck rolls in, gets a bunch of shields. Plato and Wads are going to trade. Not what State is looking for here at respawn disadvantage. Nano Ryan's going to come out. Matt Merck decides he doesn't want any of that and is going to go ahead and kind of Asu's down, and that might be a fight loss for Boise State here. Especially as Kamsky's going to go down to Cal, but especially as Bagel and Goblin go down, Matt Merck is just trying to see what they can do, which actually just ends up being nothing. Can't even get away. They just get eliminated. And the initial DPS trade was unfortunate because Boise State had the spawn disadvantage, but once Kennesaw State eliminated our main healer, that was a lost fight. Everybody went down immediately after that, and now Boise State, their best chance was the push before, but now they have EMP Death Blossom, but you gotta think Kennesaw State is probably ready for that, so as long as Prototyper is in mech, they should be able to do something. Shatter's gonna come out, no eliminations will be found. EMP's gonna come out onto 3 members. Cal gets frozen and eliminated before they can remech, and with Asu down too, that is even, but Boise State's at a massive disadvantage here, not only because we're missing our main healer, but then Plato just said main healer for main healer, and it's gonna take down Kamsky, but go down to the bomb themselves. Nitro Galaxy gets eliminated, and this is a really scrappy fight on point. The longer this lasts, the more it is in Kennesaw State's favor here, and especially with that Blizzard 5% away from being charged. Maybe this isn't the fight that Boise State should pick, but they are definitely picking it. They're all hard engaged here. They have full 6. They're going to see what they can do. We got to imagine that Blizzard's going to come right out on the cart. Boise State should be prepared to deal with that with either a Coalescence or by just outright eating the Blizzard. But that's really Boise State's only hope here as Damage Orb is going to come out and fly off into the ether. Coalescence just trying to laser down and see what damage and healing it can do. Cal's going to run out of the way. Blizzard comes right on the point, gets no value. Boise State wasn't on the point. Plato will get the elimination on Kensip, which could turn this fight here. Asu, 26 to another Coalescence here, even though they initiated the fight with it. Another Damage Orb comes out. Still trying to get some healing onto their tanks here. Sound Barrier will come out, and this might give Boise State the HP they need to be as aggressive as they want. As Wads and Kamsky are also going to get eliminated immediately after. No! Nitro Galaxy with the 3-person shatter! That might just be fine. Nitro Galaxy might have just handed them this map, even as they get eliminated. Nitro Galaxy pops off, Goblin pops off. That was really scary. If Goblin didn't individually clutch that, Nitro Galaxy almost handed them that fight. And Boise State had a valiant push, but that was definitely scary. Boise State was taken into overtime, however, overtime, however, so their situation is a little bit less favorable than 1 minute and 12, as they will only have a minute to see as far as they can get. And considering their first rotation took about a full minute, they have one, if they choose to do that long rotation again, they have 1 chance. If they choose to just be as fast as possible, they have 2 chances to cap this 2nd point and see how far they can push it. Neither team really has a ton of time, however, which is usually what we expect from these very, very high skill as we get closer and closer to the grand finals. Teams will be put in harder and harder positions to cap just because the enemy team is just as close to their skill level as they themselves are, and it does look like the attackers have a Winston Diva Echo, so maybe that actually appears to be Kennesaw State on the attack there, just based on what we know from comps. Boise State still in the blue, defending presumably. It does look like they have an Ashe swap on the side of Boise State. Matt Merck is just going to go ahead and roll away. We do still have Kennesaw State in the red. Asu and Bagel Goblins seeing what value they can get. They haven't been found out just yet. They're going for this Tracer. They get the hack. That's a good first thing there. They get them weak. Bagel's going to get Nitro Galaxy, though, which is absolutely huge. Play-Doh seeing what they can do on the unpocketed Ash, which is right now a lot of dynamite damage. And forcing the Echo to not be able to peek. Kel getting a little bit of peel, eating some of the damage that Play-Doh otherwise would have taken to the face, but can't afford to take because they don't have a Pocket Mercy. Or Discord's going to go out with the Goblin, but then immediately get changed over to Kel. Both teams are kind of looking for an opportunity, sizing each other up. We do have Kennesaw State on the high ground waiting for their monkey cooldown so they can presumably dive Bagel in the back. Members of Boise State are definitely 110% ready for that, expecting exactly that. Kamsky has the nano. Coach Gun's going to come out, will not be able to stop Nitro Galaxy from getting the elimination onto Play-Doh, but Kel will stop Nitro Galaxy from getting the elimination onto Bagel or Asu, which are the really big members that we're trying to protect. Because Goblin and Kel also go down. That is Boise State down 3 before they're able to find a single elimination. Bagel and Asu will also go down immediately after that, and that was a very clean first fight win by Kennesaw State there. They got the elimination onto both of the DPS. I don't think Boise State was necessarily prepared for the Nano Monkey, and I do think that's what ended up costing them. I think that cost them some other fights as well, as Kennesaw State is going to take map 2 from Boise State, so this is a 1-1, but we were expecting a close game tonight, right? I mean, as you get into all these final games, you're not necessarily expecting teams to roll or just go 5 or 3-0. So we are going to go to our next map. Boise State hopefully should be able to clean up and predict ultimates more. That's the biggest thing they need to do. We saw it hugely with the Nano Monkey, but there were some other ultimates that Boise State, or some other aggression that was punished on the side of Boise State there. Those are the big two things that Boise State will need to watch going into this map 2. Or going into this map 3. Excuse me. And I think with that, we are going to go straight into map number 3. Our third map is Havana. This is a map that Boise State famously has a lot of strategies on. I expect some sort of a close hold, and it does look like Boise State is holding up exactly for that. Boise State has had some truly incredible success on this map of Havana. So this is a map that Boise State is very, very comfortable on. This would be the map that Boise State picked going into it, and I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Boise State has been able to hold huge high-level teams like UCI at first point here, and it looks like they're going to try to do that to Kennesaw State here with the close hold and the Goblin Bagel Pharmacy. Nitro Galaxy gets the first elimination onto Matt Merck, though, and that's not what we're looking for, as Goblin gets the elimination on Kamsky, and it actually looks like it is Kennesaw State that is going for the close hold here in the blue. The colors were switched on me. I have been bamboozled. Maxwell and Goblin are both going to get immediate eliminations onto Kenton and Kamsky again. And Nitro Galaxy will go down to Kel, so it looks like Boise State is slowly pushing. We have Goblin on the cart. Oh, that Pharah, that's a feels bad. They just got melted. And then meet like Pharah, like Mercy. ISO's going to go down just as fast. Goblin's going to push up and see what sort of angles they can get with the Bagel-assisted damage boost here. And we do have Maxwell in on the Baptiste role, which is not something we usually see. So it does appear that Asu has been swapped out, and Maxwell is now in on map 2. Play-Doh will lose the battle of the Tracers to Kenton, who has been an absolutely phenomenal Tracer player. Goblin's going to go ahead and commit the ultimate, get the elimination on ISO, leaving both teams even. Boise State an advantage. Going to get the elimination on the Wads, and that is Boise State now up 1. He's coming for you, Nitro Galaxy, and Nitro Galaxy didn't even look at him until he had already eaten half of his HP away there. As Kenton's going to go down, that's Boise State up 2. Now is the time for aggression, as Kamsky and Nitro Galaxy are going to immediately fall after that. All members members of Boise State still in the fight. They're on the cart. Kennesaw State has no way to deal with this Bastion. They weren't ready. They're not looking for Goblin, and it's going to cost them, especially on a map like Havana. Matt Merck looking for a cheeky hook. They will miss the hook. Almost gets eliminated by the Hanzo, coupled with the Discord Orb there, but the Discord Orb is going to be quickly gifted to Goblin on the Bastion. Understandable. Have a nice day. Kennesaw State does have the Gamification Matrix, though, but starting the fight down one is never good. And Kennesaw State has no res and nothing to do about that, especially as Kamsky down. That's Boise State up too. Now's the time to push. And push we are, as Goblin's going to get the elimination on Nitro Galaxy off the cusp of a massive hook by Matt Merck. Kenzen is unable to get out, and it looks like Kennesaw Prototyper just backed up his Sigma. And honestly, when you're down 3 looking at a Bastion and a Roadhog, that is the correct play. Sometimes running away is valid. Kennesaw State does still have a second fight here, and that is why running away is so valid sometimes here. You want all 6 for this fight, and all 6 they do have. Amplification Makers is going to come out in that corner window. A little bit botched there, phasing through the wall more than it's being helpful. Prototyper's going to go down first. First blood to Boise State, second blood also to Boise State. That's Boise State up 2. Now's the time to keep going, and keep going Goblin does, getting the elimination onto Wads as the Valve is committed on the point. So everybody is still damage boosted here. And Kennesaw State has a scrappy touch should they choose to take it, or they can just set up for point 3. Boise State is kind of rolling through them right now because they have no answer for the Bastion except for Prototyper, who's going to get eliminated. Who's going to get the elimination on Goblin and Bagel, who pushed a little bit too far. But now Kennesaw State is holding outside of Boise State's spawn, and as Boise State proved before, spawn is not necessarily the best place to hold when you're on defense. Kel will be eliminated though, so maybe Kennesaw State can do it. Goblin will eliminate ISO with that immediate swap onto the Widowmaker. Matt Merck will get cleaned up in a corner there. Maxwell will also get cleaned up, but now Boise State is respawning, and they have a little bit of an off angle here. It almost looks like Kennesaw State is on attack and Boise State on defense, even though that is not the case here, just because the teams are so flipped, and Kennesaw State is now completely behind Boise State. Matt Merck's going to get the elimination onto Kenzen, and that's going to put a little bit of a damper in all of Kennesaw State's plans, especially as ISO on the Zenyatta is split from the rest of them, and looking at Goblin on that Widowmaker. Wants it. Amplification Matrix is going to come out. Plato will get eliminated. Bagel will get eliminated. Watts is just popping off there on the Hanzo tonight. And, ooh, that's a feels bad. Jumps right into the full spawn. Goblin will get eliminated as well as Maxwell. Kel is going to eliminate Prototyper though with the assistance of Maxwell on that Baptiste. Kenzen gonna get the elimination on Kel. That is Boise State still being held in their spawn, even with a split team. And you have to think that because of that, because of the fact that Kennesaw State was split, maybe Boise State's target focus needs a little bit of work here. Looks like that target focus is on to Kamsky though, at least in Matt Merck's eyes. Kamsky's gonna go down. Tanks will be taken weak. Transcendence will be committed there by ISO immediately. Kel's gonna get eliminated as well as ISO and Prototyper. Matt Merck will go down though. Boise State is taking these fights and they're being way too scrappy for instant respawn advantage here. Widowmaker has come out from Kennesaw State here. Kenzen on the Widow trying to duel the Goblin Widowmaker here. So far, neither Widowmaker has been able to get an elimination onto the other in terms of headshots and sniping, but they're definitely looking for it. And Kel has shielded that off, giving Goblin an excellent opportunity. Kenzen would have to be a little bit unfortunate to peek that. Plato's going to have the Bob going into this next fight. ISO can't peek Plato. Plato also can't peek ISO. Huge Sigma ult going to take Nitro Galaxy into the air and immediately into the arms of Plato, who's going to eliminate him as well as Prototype. But Goblin and Maxwell are going to go down, but Kamsky and Goblin's going to get red. So that is still fight. Boise State is still in this, but I have to wonder about the logic on rezzing the Widowmaker over your other support on the Baptiste. They lost a lot of immortality field value. Kenzen's gonna get Kel. That's a little bit of that. Not having your main support there. Decision making with Rez, a little bit of that. Biting you in the butt there as Kel's gonna go down, and Goblin is just looking for an angle but can't find one because Boise State is down a second tank. And approaching this third point of Havana, it is almost impossible to cap. If you are down anybody, but especially down your main support. Goblin's gonna win the battle of the Widowmakers against Kenzen, straight down mid, leaving Boise State a good opener here, but Kennesaw State still respawn advantages as Amplification Matrix is going to come out just so Kansky by themselves, and they're unable. They finally find the elimination on the map Mert through Watts. Bagel will be able to get that res, but Goblin has already gone down. And so Boise State is still down one member, their DPS. Plato's going to boop themselves out of that Sigma ultimate, as you should. Looking for that pick onto Kenzen on the Widowmaker. Knows where he is, sees it, wants it, but can't quite get that headshot. Elimination that they're looking for. Bagel being terrorized in the back by the ball on Mercy. Kennesaw State, they have to be prepared for the bomb. And right now, Boise State is just rotating all the way to the right. Boise State loves these long pushes, and honestly, it pays off for them as Kenzen's going to be eliminated. Bomb's just going to be yeeted into the enemy's spawn. Tranquility will be forced to be committed by ISO there. Boise State still pushing into the right-hand spawn door. Touch one more challenge. Plato's going to get some damage in, but not be able to follow up on the eliminations. But still, Boise State up 2. That's pretty big. Down 1, now only up 1. Now up 2 again as Maxwell gets the elimination on Kenton. Goblin gets the elimination of Prototyper. That is up 3-4. But the members of Kennesaw State do have immediate respawns, but not immediate enough. And honestly, third point Havana, it is impressive that Boise State even capped that. Even with 18 seconds. Third point Havana is notoriously almost impossible to cap at all levels of play. And this play by Plato really helped get all that damage in, and then immediately as somebody was weak enough, moved on to the next one because he knew that the remaining members of Boise State would be able to capitalize on those eliminations, and they did. And so Boise State, with that clean team wipe almost, they did end up taking the point with 18 seconds to spare, which again, gargantuan task. This is going to be a tall order for Kennesaw State to attempt to do, especially against a team they are as evenly matched with as Boise State here. Third point Havana, if the teams are even, almost never gets capped.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
It does look like if Kennesaw State is still in the blue, they might be running their own Bastion just because of how much success Boise State had on it on their initial push. And honestly, it would be a good idea to. But Boise State better be expecting that, is all I have to say. And it looks like they are, as they're going to hold right outside the spawn. Kel trying to scout out which doors they're coming from, does scout out the team and doesn't get eliminated. Teleporter's going to come out. That's a little sneaky. ISO and Prototyper just kind of caught off guard. Prototyper now cut from the rest of their team. The wall's going to come down, further separating the members of Kennesaw State, but no eliminations have been able to come out yet because Boise State has not been able to get the damage that they need onto these split members. Kenzen is going to peek on the Bastion. They will be unable to get any eliminations. Prototyper! Somebody go eliminate him. He's over there. He's got no health. He just rocked your May. Go get him. But they're going to go ahead and get ISO instead, which is honestly pretty good. Goblin's going to get that elimination. Prototyper is just being left alone mid. Kenzen will also get eliminated by Goblin, presumably inside their spawn. Maverick is finally going to answer my prayers and eliminate Prototyper on the mid there. Plato's just barely missed the May wall, but not the May icicle. Eliminate Wads. ISO's going to get that immediate res. Always a sad day when you're resing right outside of your spawn, especially as Nitro Galaxy is going to go down immediately after that. Kenzen, though, may be able to flip this fight with that first elimination onto Maxwell. This could spell Boise State's slow downfall. At this point, you got to think members are just looking to wipe on card because they've been able to get some time off, and we've talked about it before. The goal of a close hold like this is not to hold them inside their spawn for the full 4 minutes. It's just, it would be an exceptional job if you get like a minute or a minute 30 off. And Boise State did about a minute here. Almost a minute 30, so that was a great close hold by them, and a huge anti-nade onto both Boise State Gravitic Flux tanks. Goblin will be the one to go down. Immediately after that, Matt Bird Kale is still barely living on a prayer over there as Maxwell's immediately gonna go down. And you think that the rest of the members of Boise State are also gonna go down as well, and that might be the end of their first point hold there if Kennesaw State is able to get this elimination onto Plato before anybody else gets eliminated. Boise State does have some member to touch, and it actually will be Goblin that gets eliminated by the Echo damage boost speed, which is usually the expected outcome when you're a solo DPS against the Echo person. Boise State does have the Blizzard, should they choose to commit it, and it honestly looks like they don't need to. This Kel's just going to pop off, get the double elimination. Bagel's going to get the melee kill on the Prototyper, and Boise State gets stolen onto their Blizzard. Exceptional patience is shown by Plato here on holding that Blizzard, because that definitely could have been a fight-winning thing, but Boise State didn't need it. So now they get to use it to win another fight, presumably this next one with Kennesaw State. Boise State has struggled with the Nano Monkey specifically. Kennesaw State doesn't have a Nano Monkey, but they do have a Nano, and so Boise State has got to be ready for that, because that's one of the ultimates that's given them problems in the past. Goblin starting this next fight up one, pretty good. ISO's going to res it. They don't have res for this next engage. His Amplification Matrix is going to come out, and the fight truly begins. Goblin's going to eliminate Watts, leaving Boise State again up one. Maxwell is weak and purple. Immortality Field's going to come out, as well as Baptiste self-heal. Kenzen's going to get the elimination on the Goblin. Maxwell's still sitting at half HP there, even as the Blizzard comes out. And Kenzen's going to get the Deadeye on the Maxwell, which is never what you want to see, especially this early in a fight. Plato's going to get the elimination on the Kenzen, though, finally stopping the Cole Cassidy terror from having high ground. But it might actually end up being too little too late there, as that res is going to come out. And Boise State is slowly but surely losing this fight. Plato did everything they absolutely possibly could have done on May. But that is going to be point one for Kennesaw State, and now 2 minutes and 43 seconds to get them to point number 2. And Boise State, this is one of those indoor points where there are limited entry points. If Boise State can knock them off the cart once, that is usually a team's push. This isn't quite as intense as Wash Point Gibraltar, but it's pretty close. Havana is a super defensively favored map, and Max is going to get the elimination on a Nitro Galaxy, which is a good fight starter for Boise State. But Bagel's going to go down to Kansky with that damage boost, and you got to think maybe they weren't playing very safe there. Boise State will be forced to back off at least a little bit and not be able to take the space that they want to take. Matt Merck taking down 179 HP, now 47, and the Matt Merck, Plato, and Maxwell are going to get cleaned up immediately after that, because they didn't have that Lucio speed boost to get them out. Kel's gonna live with 86 HP, and that's feels real bad, feels real scary there. And Bagel's gonna try to speed the remaining members of Boise State into the fight for a final touch here. And now Maxwell is forced to keep both tanks alive. Kennesaw State walking into this. Massive Amplification Matrix comes out. Max gets the elimination on Kenzen. I was just about to talk how they need to watch that Cole Cassidy ult, but you don't need to watch it if he's eliminated, but he is going to get immediately rezzed there, putting a little bit of a damper on all Boise State's plans. But Matt Burke says, I have Shatter, presses the funny button, and gets the double elimination on Kenzen and ISO, as well as Kamsky. Maxwell will go down, which could spell doom for Boise State, and definitely stops a lot of their aggression here. But just like we were talking about, Boise State has pushed them off of the cart. And at this point, that's all Boise State needed to do. Kennesaw State will have approximately 2 clean, good fights that they get to choose how they want to pick. And because they didn't commit Valk, and they now have the Duplicate and the Nano and the Deadeye, because he was eliminated twice before he got to use it, Plato and Kenzen are going to trade, leaving both teams at a disadvantage here, but with Kamsky getting eliminated immediately after that, this fight is definitely in Boise State's favor, even if ultimates are committed. And it looks like Goblin's going to commit the ultimate, but zoning Deadeye there on the Cole Cassidy.
30 seconds.
ISO's not peeking that Goblin on the Cole Cassidy there, which is an intelligent decision on that Mercy. Both teams kind of trying to spam, trying some eliminations here. Plato's going to commit the Blizzard. Bob will also be committed. Boise State really wants to win this fight with 13 seconds remaining. They win the fight. They win the map here. Cal is on ISO. They want it. They get it. Plato's going to come and get in those last 3 bars of HP damage there. Kamsky's going to go down. That is most important inside of Kennesaw State. And honestly, not much of anything for inside of Kennesaw State, as they just have Solo Echo and now Ball on the point together. But Ball will be more than enough to get Cal out of mech here. But the remaining members of Boise State are just collapsing and getting that damage on Prototype back on the Diva. But at this point, Kennesaw State is desperately pumping bodies onto this point. ISO, you're not going to get that res. Everybody's looking at you. A valiant attempt. But ultimately, Boise State will win that map. And usually when you go into those staggered fights where people are just throwing bodies onto the point, it's not going to go your way. And as we go to a map 4 here, we're going to go to break before we get into all of that.
NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Hello and welcome back to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. This is still our coverage of the NACE Overwatch collegiate matchup between Boise State and Kennesaw State. So far, Boise State has gone up 2 maps to Kennesaw State's 1. Next map will be 2CP, so Volskaya Industries. If Kennesaw State wants to tie us and take it to a map 5, they need to win this next matchup on 2CP. This is still Kennesaw State versus Boise State, 2 very evenly matched teams. And Boise State really wants to win this. Boise State really wants to continue on in this tournament and see if we can get the opportunity to, through the losers bracket, maybe meet up against some teams that have beat us in the past. And with that, we're going to get right into the next map, which is going to be 2CP Volskaya.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
And the last time we saw Boise State 2CP with in the NACE bracket, it was Temple of Anubis, and it did end up going the way of Boise State, but there were 3 equally likely outcomes the last time we faced off on 2CP Temple of Anubis, and it looks like Boise State is going to go ahead and run that. It looks like they have the Winston. If Boise State is in the blue, which they historically were for the first couple maps, but weren't last map, looks like the attacking team is going to come out with Diva and Ball on this first point of Anubis, so they will have to have a very well-coordinated dive right into... It looks like Boise State is on the attack with the dive. Kennesaw State is in the blue again with the double bubble comp. No. Boise State is in the blue, excuse me. That is Matt Merck and Kel on the double bubble though. Player's going to get eliminated, but immediately rezzed by Asu, who is back in, rising to the challenge of Kennesaw State. They have been subbed back in for main support with, for support with Bagel there. Wads is gonna go down to Goblin on that Tracer. And Kennesaw State is gonna, Nitro Galaxy just gonna go off the map because the remaining members of their team were out, and that is understandable. Boise State is hopefully going to be able to get the stagger on this Diva in particular. They will be unable to get it. Bagel just kind of topping off some members that are weak here. Ultimately, that first engagement isn't quite over yet because Boise State can't push into that room. Bagel's going to get the healing onto Matt Merck. Excuse me, Asu's going to have to come peel back for Bagel, who's taking a lot of damage in that corner room, mostly to the Tracer that Kennesaw State has. Bagel's going to drop into the room to get the health pack, will be unable to do it, and so Kenzie gets the elimination onto Bagel, but we'll see if Asu will be able to get that res. They are taking damage. They will. My assumption is that they won't be able to get either one of these reses, but unless they do, Boise State is just down 2. They will now down 3 as Asu goes to the res, unable to get it. Matt Merck is going to get Jamsky, but then immediately get eliminated themselves, and that is First point going to Kennesaw State here with 2 minutes and 13 seconds remaining, unless Goblin can go ahead and touch. And at this point, Boise State is trying to get individual members maybe to touch and maybe to get an elimination. But it looks like they're just going to back up and go point 3. Which is a wise decision, except for Plato, who might be looking for a Bob in the back line there. No, they're not. They're going to do the smart thing. They're going to regroup with their team, which is what we love to see here. And now as we go to this next point, that is 4 minutes and 46 seconds. Boise State did not have a great first point hold. It only took Kennesaw State 2 fights to take them out here, and Boise State needs to do better than that on the second point if they want to win this map. Campsy's going to go down, so then ISO, and we said better than that. That is exactly what that is. Taking out both of their supports immediately. Wads is going to follow immediately after that. Kennesaw State, Kenton just has to run at that point. It looks like they will be able to get away. Plato not able to get the 6 snipes there, but Kenson's not able to get a lot of ult charge either. Kennesaw State has a massive ultimate advantage, though, going into this next fight. So Boise State has to ult first, and Kel needs to charge grab as fast as humanly possible. Kenson winning the battle of the Tracers is not boding well for Boise State. Despite ISO going down, though, to the Bagel anti-nade. That is Boise State down 1, but with massive respawn advantage. And Kel just has to go back and touch the point, especially onto the mines. We'll see what they can do. That is a purple that's going to come out. They give up a tick. They are not giving up the second tick, however. Watts gets the elimination on the Bagel. Matt Mertz gets the elimination on the Cansey. That is second tick. Boise State being unable to stop them. Kel, 97 to grab, but even at that point, they didn't have anybody to capitalize on it. And at this point, you just have to wonder what happened to Boise State here, because they were up 1, and now this fight is taken to point, and Boise State can't seem to touch. Plato's going to go down in their spawn to Prototyper. Now both Boise State tanks are on the point at the same time. And Bagel's going to get the elimination of Nitro Galaxy. Watts is going to get Goblin. Cal's going to get Watts, though, on the point. They're going to go ahead and pick up Prototyper as well. Cal, defender of the point, protector of the point. Absolutely amazing on that. Zarya there, they have charged, they have used their grab to get the eliminations. Plato is now going to get elimination on Kamsky as Kennesaw State is going to just disengage. And I think Kel just clutched that. Boise State was put in a very, very difficult position where they were up 1, but the members of Kennesaw State just ran past them and touched the point. And Boise State was really taken off guard by that, and their support lineup was just completely wiped. And then they were left desperately touching the point. And so now that is 89.3% of point captured and 2 minutes and 26 seconds remaining for Kennesaw State here. They definitely have a shot to full cap this. Big Dynamite is going to come out by Plato, who now has a Bob because of that. Kel's going to get the elimination on Kansky, which is exactly what you want to see if you're a Boise State fan. Kennesaw State being down not 1, but both supports here and their main tank as Bagel's going to go ahead and chip in there. And you got to think that's fight over for Kennesaw State, and they just GG go next fight. Boise State and Kennesaw State are at a relatively even ultimate economy here. The big ones to watch out for Boise State are the TPS ultimates. Whether or not we win this next fight will be determined by that or just the fast Boise State respawns. Kennesaw State, they're looking for a huge mines. And Wads, both Tracers are going to go down to Plato and Wads respectively, leaving teams even, but Boise State at a massive advantage because of just how fast these 2 CP respawns are. Asu's going to take down Nitro Galaxy immediately after that, however, and Kennesaw State is just going to back up. We didn't even need those massive 2 CP respawns that fight because Asu's going to go ahead and pick up the elimination on the bar. Kel wants grab. I feel it. He's looking for it. He thinks he needs to have one for this next fight. But he's only 66% and slowly climbing there as being Azari with 4 charge is always a sad day. Plato knocking the Bob off of the high ground. They will commit the Bob to this fight. Just yeet it right in there just as Wads is going to duplicate on the Zarya. And at this point, they might have their own grab that Boise State needs to be worried about. Kel's going to laser him down with only 16 charge there. And then go up to 34 and 36, and now 40. Bagel and Campsy are both down, as well as Asu. Boise State is missing both of their supports, and Kel is too weak on point to stop them from full capping. But 28 seconds is a pretty good defense on Boise State's part. But Boise State really needs to clean things up a little bit if they want to take this map from Kennesaw State, because there were just too many times when Boise State was absolutely caught off guard, and that shouldn't be happening to you if you are on second point defense on 2CP. This was big. Kel getting the elimination onto Kamsky, always what you want to see, and then immediately after that, ISO and Nitro are going to go down, and that was just clean fight. 3 eliminations were had. Nobody was eliminated on the side of Boise State, and so they just got that. And cost Kennesaw State an extra 20 seconds before counting their next fight and the setup for.
Ready for battle.
The biggest thing Boise State really needs to clean up is that there are a lot of members on Kennesaw State's team that are very, very mobile and that are just kind of running around, and Boise State isn't responding to their rotations, I would say, is the biggest problem that is happening right now. Boise State almost lost the point to a ball and tracer flanking when the whole team was down 1. And then Boise State supports got picked immediately after that by those 2 members that were just running around having some fun. So Boise State needs to do a much better job at calling those out and then responding to them before their support line is wiped.
Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Doesn't look like there are a ton of swaps here. Boise State still running that double bubble, still with Goblin on the Ash and Plato on the Tracer. Kennesaw State is now running Ball Diva with Wads on the Sombra, which we haven't seen before, so maybe they will be able to take Boise State off guard with that. This first fight here will be taken in room, which benefits Boise State, but definitely does not benefit Nitro Galaxy, as they're going to roll in there on ball and be unable to roll out. And with that, Matt Merck is going to touch the point, see what value they can get. Kennesaw State is all contained to the building right now, and with the translocator destroyed, Watts just has to sit in a corner and die, and that was sad to watch. But good job, Matt Merck, getting the elimination there. That is Kennesaw State now down 2, about to be down 4. Kamsky and ISO were split, and Matt Merck was able to just easily take out the Zenyatta. Because of that, when you're a Zenyatta, don't back out of the way of your brig. Bagel's going to eliminate both Nitro Galaxy and Kenzen on the Tracer and Ball. And that is just 0.1 for Boise State with 5 minutes and 50 seconds remaining and a massive ultimate economy difference. Boise State's best chance here is to spend a little bit of time poking to maybe get some ultimates or some eliminations, and then immediately go in as hard as they possibly can, which looks like exactly what they're doing here, not giving Kennesaw State time to set up. Matt Merck will be bubbled and jump out. You have to think that's a little bit of a miscommunication there between the tanks. Watts, 77 to EMP. Boise State needs to make their move before they get that. Nano's going to go in, but unable to knock Matt Merck off the high ground. They will voluntarily drop themselves, though, as they jump into 3 members. Plato's going to go down, leaving Boise State down 1 and at a massive respawn disadvantage. Matt Merck is still going to commit the primal, though, because this is Boise State's best chance to try to snowball here. Boise State starting to focus all over the place. All the members of Kennesaw State are being dropped weak, but not eliminated until Isu and Asu are both going to go down at the same time. Brig for a brig. Kamsky's going to go down immediately after that. Goblin is also, but trades work in the favor of Kennesaw State because their respawns are so fast. Boise State can get a full team wipe, and then full team will be back before the point is capped. But Boise State now has all their members on here. All eyes are going to be on Kel to charge that grab as fast as they possibly can. Rally's going to come out, but be immediately eliminated. Plato is also going to go down to Kenzen there. Kel is taken low. They're able to use the grab, get the eliminations. I saw Kel's light flash before my eyes that play there. And it was a huge play that needed to happen. If Kel didn't get that off, Boise State probably wouldn't have this point because it just gave them the opportunity for so many eliminations. And now there's 100 charged Zarya that Kennesaw State is pushing into. But Matt Merck's the one with all the eliminations there in the kill feed with Wads and Kenzen. Double kill onto both of the DPS. That first fight, it feels like Boise State DPS are having a little bit of a time getting into the fight without getting eliminated. Those are the two most often members that are picked in between fights, and the members that I think are taking Boise State, like starting the fight down 1 or initiating the fight and then immediately going down 1, and that's definitely costing Boise State. In this case, it just cost them time and didn't end up costing them the point fully, because some members, most notably Matt Merck and Cal, were able to pop off and get those eliminations. But it really feels like Boise State is specifically struggling to get tracer value, especially compared to Kenzen, who is frequently the one taking Boise State down 1 in these engagements that we've already started. So Boise State really needs to watch out for that tracer play and tighten up some of their own if they would like to take this Volskaya map. But they have a massive time advantage over Kennesaw State, so they are definitely in a favorable position to do exactly that.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Plato set up on the high ground with Kel on that Zarya. Huge and Bionade by Bagel on the ISO Prototyper and Kamsky. Kamsky will be taken weak. They will be unable to eliminate him until just now. Plato getting that elimination on the Kamsky. And you got to think maybe that's just fight, because this is first point and Kennesaw State doesn't have their main healer. So they're just going to back up. It's absolutely understandable. Sombra is even going to translocate out. And now we have reset back to the spam phase before the fight even started. And Plato doing a phenomenal job on that Ashe, eliminating Kamsky, and now Nitro Galaxy. Plato is just unpocketed and uncontested on this high ground right now, as they're immediately going to turn and get Wads as well, to the benefit of Bagel mostly on that Ana. And it looks like Kennesaw State just has to touch when they're down a member. And if they just stand there, they're not even going to be able to touch. Somebody's going to get that touch on the back. Somebody is finally going to get the touch. It is Monkey and Tracer. Plato's fighting for his life here. Finally gets eliminated by Prototyper. Just too many people were looking at Plato on that point there, and Bagel couldn't keep him up. Matt Merck, 86 the Primal Rage, which could be huge, especially as Ace is going to get taken down, and as well as Bagel. This might be fight for Kennesaw State. In a desperate attempt to touch the point, and in a desperate attempt to defend the point, Matt Merck is going to commit the Primal, but with Goblin and Countdown, Matt Merck is the only one here and can't get an eliminate, barely gets the elimination on the ISO with 24 HP, and then just jumps off the map after committing the Primal. That was a desperate attempt by Kennesaw State, and they ended up getting it, because Boise State rotated back too quickly to help their support lineup get there, and Bagel got picked in the rotation, and that was really unfortunate and spelled a fight win for Kennesaw State, especially as Prototyper is going to take down Plato. Plato will respawn before Kennesaw State can hard engage, or if they hard engage in the mid-fight here, Plato will be back, which is what we're looking for. But with that rally coming out, Boise State's second point is even put in a pretty difficult position. We got to use our own rally and then maybe a Nano Monkey to try to get some eliminations there. Goblin not having a fun time against that Cole Cassidy on that Doomfist. Kel not having a fun time against that Cole Cassidy on Zarya. And it really feels like Kennesaw State just walked forward and picked out members of Boise State individually who should have had time to set up, but instead Boise State didn't. It wasn't the ultimates that were in Kennesaw State's favor. They just pressed W, and Boise State forgot to press S. And so some of our members were caught out just in the massive push that was Kennesaw State all running together, which tends to happen when it's just overtime, because everybody has one specific goal and they're all going to go towards that. Plato still deserves a highlight reel, though, on that Ashe, on that high ground. Those are some sick snipes there, and actually kept Kennesaw State at bay for as long as they did. And then Boise State just kind of got snowballed after that, but not by the ultimates.
Ready for battle. Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
I would expect both teams to come out with similar team compositions as we go into this next push here, and it looks like that is exactly the case. There is a Tracer and a Lucio looking for some initial spam, and actually It looks like the defenders are just going to try to close hold on that Reinhardt and see if they can get a couple of unexpected fights there. Blue team double bubble, which is Boise State here. Seems like they're mostly unaware. Kennesaw State, I think the goal of the Reinhardt is to just get as much time off the clock as they possibly can. Hit them with something unexpected. And with 4 minutes and 24 seconds, Boise State has a good shot at this. Plato's going to go down, but so is Kenzen. Bagel and Kel will also go down. So I would say that Nitro Galaxy on the Reinhardt and Wads on the Reaver definitely took them off guard. Kennesaw State has won a fight off of Boise State, and they won themselves 30 seconds because they were able to pop out with something that Boise State wasn't looking for here. And Boise State did not have the ability to scout it out beforehand. Goblin, I truly have to wonder about the wiseness of trying to spawn camp the Cole Cassidy, as Boise State and Kennesaw State are both 5 in fight, and honestly it looks like that spawn camping might be going pretty well. Wads is going to get eliminated by Goblin. Huge. Didn't think you could do it, but you did it. Matt Merck and Plato are going to get eliminated on the front line. However, Boise State was only 5 in fight, but then again, so was Kennesaw State. And Boise State did not win the point fight. Their members just got eliminated as soon as they walked into that room. But Kel is 80% to graph, so maybe the next time they go in that room, things will be different, as Bagel is going to be picked last, costing Boise State an extra 3 seconds as they wait for them to respawn and fully just kind of get back into this. Goblin is 89-91. EMP, though, huge! Shatter's going to come out by Nitro Galaxy, but they are purple, and they are weak. They are going to go down to Matt Burke, but with Plato and Asu having already been eliminated, Kel's going to come out with ISO. That is both teams even. Advantage Boise State. Now Boise State is down 1. Now Boise State is down 2, as Bagel's going to get eliminated immediately after that. And Kel just has to clutch against a full 4 members if they want this. And Kel is understandably unable to do that. And Boise State is going to lose that fight because they weren't able to target focus and save their members in the mid-fight. And now that is 2 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock. About 2 minutes have been killed on the side of Kennesaw State. Boise State really needs to adjust their strategy here because they have historically not been ready for the Reinhardt or where Kennesaw is taking the fight. Looks for the EMP. Goblin gets it! Onto 3 members, but not the Lucio, which is the most important member. Is going to grab his top. We're going to immediately come after that. Boise State has decided this is their fight. They're going to commit all of their ultimates and not be able to get the point because Prototyper's just going to get a 3K on the bomb. But the remaining members of Boise State are still trying to get this and hunt down that Lucio. Goblin's going to get it on ISO there. Prototyper with the huge Diva Bomb, ultimately inconsequential though. It looks like Tracer's trying to touch. They will be able to take out Goblin, which is pretty big for Boise State, but they're not able to touch the point. And now Boise State is approaching second point with 2 minutes remaining, and you have to think they're probably going to be able to cap it just because they have 2 minutes. But honestly, because Kennesaw State already did that, this map ending with a draw is becoming increasingly likely. Bagel's going to come up with that nano boost. Goblin's going to get eliminated by ISO, which is not what we're looking for. Boise State really needs to tighten up in those rotations and get their members to the fight so that once the fight starts, we are not down 1. Immediately after that, Mattwork and Asu are also going to go down to Wads and Kenzen, and that is just a fight reset. Kennesaw State is holding very aggressively in that courtyard there. Looks like they're going to back off, though. But it looks like they're going to back off as Plato gets the elimination on Kenzen, which is pretty good. I'm very interested to see how Nitro Galaxy is going to continue to play this Reinhardt, because for all intents and purposes, Boise State should be able to outmaneuver the Reinhardt, but they have not been able to so far. Bagel's going to fall back to their team there, almost took a solo elevator right to the point, which would have been unfortunate. And the remaining and we see that Tracer, we see Kenzen looking for that pulse bomb, running around the backline. Wads gets the elimination on the Goblin, who is playing solo and immediately gets picked. So Boise State is now down 1 for this next engagement, and with 36 seconds, we don't really have the time to take a fight down 1 or to start a fight down 1. And now the fight is even as Matt Merck is going to get the elimination on Kenzen, and so Boise State is going to move in, but the respawn advantage is still massively in the favor of Kennesaw State. Nano's going to come out for the side of Boise State. This is Boise State's last chance to take this point, and with Nitro Galaxy going down, pretty good last chance. Amplification Matrix from the high ground, unable to find any eliminations. Rally's going to come out, add some survivability to members on the point. Bagel just doing some damage. Now finally touches the point. Unable to sleep the high noon, so goes down to Watts in a little bit of an ego peak there. But Cal is there to pick up the slack, as Prototyper and Watts are also going to go down immediately after that. And the hack comes out on the Nitro Galaxy, comes out on Dickinson. Beat's going to come out immediately after the EMP. ISO's so weak. Is going to go down to A2 Goblin. It's just cleaning up the members on the point. Kenzen will get the elimination on the Goblin, but you got to think that's too little too late for Kennesaw State. But with both teams full capping, because Kennesaw State full cap with only a minute to their name, Boise State's 4 minutes in full cap has been dwindled down to now overtime. And ultimately, Kennesaw State, I think, is just playing in a tighter, more clean, team-oriented way this map. I truly think that Kennesaw State is just working better as a unit, for one, and then I think some of their individual members are winning the 1v1s when they choose to take them. And I think that's why Kennesaw State is giving Boise State such a hard time on this map. Because when you just look at it on paper, you're like, okay, Boise State has 4 minutes. Kennesaw State only has a minute. You don't imagine that Kennesaw State is going to be able to full cap point 1, let alone point 2. And you don't imagine that because Kennesaw State did that, and they're similarly skilled teams, you don't imagine that it's going to take Boise State 4 minutes to Kennesaw State's 1 minute to full cap first and second point, but that's exactly what happened. And so this is a much closer matchup than we initially thought, and we are now put back in the spot of whoever attacks next has to full cap first and second point with a minute, which is an astronomical ask, but one that Kennesaw State has already done. Looks like Boise State is on defense first. Hopefully they learned something from their other defense beforehand. Wads on the May. Kennesaw State still coming out with things that Boise State might not expect here. Kenzen on that Cole Cassidy. Notoriously been a terror to Boise State's DPS lineup here as we're going to go into the fight. Kel's getting, Kenzen gets eliminated first. There you go, eliminate Kenzen, win game. Boise State is not even going to give up a tick as the fight is brought to point. The members leave for just a moment where presumably Touch member is going to go down to prevent them from getting that tick, but they do get some damages. Kel and Matt Merck are alternating who touches the point. Kanski's going to go down, but so are Goblin and Nitro Galaxy. That is Boise State up 1, now up 2 with the elimination of ISO, and this might be a fight for Boise State here, with Kennesaw State unable to cap point 1, which is exactly what Boise State was looking for. And now Kennesaw State just has a desperate attempt on the point, and usually these don't go the way of the attack. Boise State just doing some cleanup here. Kel does have the Diva Bomb if they should choose to use it. That is a sad day. ISO just hacked on the point, unable to move away or do anything. Diva Bomb is going to be dropped. Boise State not even giving up a tick here. They are all fighting on point. They are eliminating the members as they come to the point. And Kennesaw State doesn't ever get the time to use that Blizzard just because it took them so long to charge it and then use it. And that is not even point 1 for Kennesaw State, which is what Boise State was trying to do on our first defense here. But, you know, we're a learning team. We didn't let them do it to us again. Now Boise State only has a minute, which is 2 good fights. If you clean wipe as fast as possible, Boise State has 2 good fights to approach here. If things turn scrappy, just like we watched with Kennesaw State, it could just end up being 1 fight. So what's going to be important here is individual members of Boise State charging ults and using them better than the individual members of Kennesaw State, because that is usually what these fights come down to. Or, so they can either charge ultimates and use them faster than Kennesaw State to win, or they can just get picks between fights. And considering how Boise State and Kennesaw State have both been playing tonight, I would say that Boise State's better bet is to just charge ultimates and use them if they want to cap this first point. And Kennesaw State is put in the very difficult position, but still winnable or still drawable position of defending first point and defending a tick. They have a minute. They have 2 fights maximum that they will have to deal with, and they need to not lose the fight. Boise State is preparing, doing a little bit of scouting going into this. We see Goblin going far left on the Sombra, seeing what they can see. They are going to come back into the fight as Boise State is going to hard commit. Matt Burke is going to jump in on that high ground. The high ground currently belongs to Boise State, but Kenson still hasn't been taken out, so they're doing a lot of damage on that Cole Cassidy, and Boise State is afraid of that flashbang, so they definitely don't want to push directly into it. Kel's just going to do a little bit of a touch and then immediately walk out, and then they hard commit on to Kenson, get the elimination, but it costs them Matt Burke, leaving both teams even still as Cansey goes down. Now Boise State is down 2 as Asu and Goblin are going to go down. Kel is trying their hardest. They're getting the eliminations. They're staying live, but it's some of the last 2 remaining members of Boise State maybe gets a touch. And with that elimination on the Kel, they do get the touch. Matt Burke is there and Bagel is there on the Lucio, but now Boise State is in the very tough position of just trying to pick the scrappy fight and get as many eliminations as they can. And this is probably a lost fight for Boise State, even as members of Kennesaw are taken super weak and forced to go in the building. Immortality Field comes out, saves Kamsky, but Bagel's gonna go down, and now it is just solo Matt Burke and Plato on the point. Huge EMP, but there is no follow-up. Boise State was not able to charge that fast enough or to capitalize on that just because there were no remaining members on the point there, and that is going to end up in a draw simply because Boise State needed to tighten up their play a little bit more there. And so we will be going to a map 5 just because of the draw. We still haven't gotten anybody to best of 3 here. And map 5 will be back to control and will be Oasis. But before that, we're going to go to a break.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Hello and welcome back to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. We are still covering NACE Collegiate Overwatch. You see our lovely production there in the back. I am still your host, Colby D'Angelo Alloway, calling all of the action for Boise State versus Kennesaw State. So far, Boise State has won 2 maps, Kennesaw State has won 1, and the teams have drawn 1, which was we just watched, which was Volskaya, and we are going to a map 5, which is Oasis again. Now, Boise State was able to win Oasis first time around, so we're going to go ahead and hope that they can win it this second time around, as we're going to go ahead and just get right into that match. As you get later in the season, as you get closer in the playoffs to the grand finals, and actually we were lied to, it is going to come out and be Ilios here, the final map that Boise State will be going up against. But again, they won the first control, and so they should be able to pick up this win tonight and then earn the right to face Bay State in our next matchup as we approach the grand finals here. But the later we get, the closer we get to grand finals, the more these matchups start becoming really, really close. And so the more you're going to start seeing these 2 CP draws. And it does look like Boise State in the blue here. Matt Merck and Kel on the dive composition. Goblin and Bagel actually are in the pocketed Far Mercy. Maxwell is going to miss a couple shots on the Tracer there and be unable to heal them. Plato is going to get a health back though, 100% fine. Just barely missing 2 HP there. Matt Merck is going to chase down Kenzen on that Tracer. And Boise State, nobody's been eliminated. I changed my mind. Plato has been eliminated, losing the battle of the Tracers. That puts Boise State down 1 and enables Kennesaw to take the point with 3% and climbing, as Kel is also going to go down. Goblin only 45% to Rocket Barrage. We've seen them charge Rocket Barrage in a single fight before on the Far Mercy, but the members of Kennesaw State are just playing so spread out that it's hard to get maximum value on those rockets. And it does look like Goblin is going to switch to Echo. Matt Merck is going to switch over to the ball. Bagel's going to get the resurrect on the Maxwell there and then go right back to damage boosting Goblin, who is now on the Echo. Which is a better pick against Kennesaw State's current team comp, just because Goblin was unable to get a lot of value on that far. ISO's gonna go down though. Goblin showing that it's not the player, it's the hero that gets it's the hero getting value there. Plato's gonna 94 to pulse bomb and climbing. Maxwell and Matt Merck are gonna go down, putting Boise State in slightly scary territory. Kennesaw State still 48 and climbing here, as Prototyper's going to get out of mech, but not eliminated as the baby diva. Boise State has put Kennesaw State in the awkward position of trying to push into the point, and all the members of Boise State are so far getting the eliminations on Watts, Nitro Galaxy, and now Prototyper finally gets eliminated by taking Cal out of mech, and Cal wins the battle of the baby divas, which is always what we love to see. Maxwell 75 to nano boost and climbing as we go here. Matt Merck getting the elimination on the Watts. Goblin is the price. Went a little too aggro, a little too fast, but will get res. And it ultimately will be of little consequence. The Goblin was too aggressive. Plato just waiting for that pulse bomb in that room there. And Boise State is at a massive ultimate disadvantage. So they need to ult first, and they need to ult well. Pulse bomb is not going to be the ultimate that does it for him, though. That's going to get eaten, but so is Kensen's pulse bomb. Both divas doing their job. Kensen's going to eliminate Goblin. Traded for Nitro Galaxy, as Plato's going to get the elimination there. That is both sides down one, but the main tank is typically more important than a DPS here, as Boise State is still going to be pushed into the room just because of the massive ultimates that Kennesaw State is currently using. Huge Diva Bomb is going to come out and eliminate Maxwell and Bagel with the duplicated Diva Bomb. And that is Kennesaw State capping the point again from Boise State, 56 to 61 and climbing. Now, Boise State has about 2 more fights before they are really in rough territory here, before Kennesaw State will take it to 99, and Boise State is still at a massive ultimate disadvantage, having only 1 to Kennesaw State's 3, and none of the Boise State ultimates are very close other than Goblin, who just got eliminated. And you have to think maybe Boise State just resets this fight, but they do get the elimination on the Watts, and they do get the res on the Goblin, so this might actually be their fight after all, even as Rally's going to come out. is going to get eliminated. Ken's going to win the battle of Tracers against Play-Doh, leaving Boise State still up one here, and Kennesaw State down a support, which is incredibly significant. And both supports here for Boise State are going strong and healing for each other. Diva's just gonna fly right by the Mercy and the Ana there, which is pretty good for Boise State. Boise State still hasn't been able to touch the point, though, even though they have been up. And so now Kennesaw State is 99 to Boise State's 56. Plato's gonna get nanoed and see what they can do going in, but Bagel's gonna get the elimination on the Watts off camera. We love to see a battle, Mercy. Maxwell, Battle Ana gonna get the elimination on the ISO. The Boise State supports have decided if it's not coming from anybody else, it's gonna come from me. But Bagel will not be able to get the res, which stops Boise State from being as aggressive as they would like to with a full team, but doesn't stop Goblin from poking and eliminating Wads in the Battle of the Echoes in the air. Now the ultimate economy is a little bit closer, still in the favor of Kennesaw State here, as they are closer to charging the Echo duplicate, which is big. They have their own post bomb that Play-Doh still does not have. So it will be up to the Boise State DPS to charge their ultimates or call out that the enemy ultimates have them. But Nitro Galaxy and Kamsky are just going to go down. So this is going to be a non-ultimate used fight here, as Goblin is also going to get the Beam of Death onto Wads there for the second time. Plato's going to get the Pulse Bomb onto ISO, which maybe was an overcommit of the ultimate. But Boise State's going to take it, 199. And maybe we didn't need the Pulse Bomb, but it was last fight. So there was going to be no other fight with which we needed to use it. And that is Boise State taking map 1. Not as clean as we would have liked, but a map win is a map win. Goblin doing an excellent job from the air with Bagel's staunch support there on that Mercy. Play-Doh getting the Pulse Bomb onto ISO, and members of Kennesaw State couldn't even touch. They were making a mad dash to the point, and Boise State knew exactly where they were coming from and got the eliminations as fast as they needed to. And it does look like we did get a little bit of a peek of a Symmetra in spawn, so I might be bamboozled here, but one of the teams at least, probably Kennesaw State, might have a Symmetra just to TP and try to get there faster. It looks like we are running Monkey Diva versus Ball Diva. Bagel still on that Lucio. Maxwell now in on that Moira instead of the Ana. Goblin over on the Sombra, which hasn't gotten a ton of value tonight, but we'll see if he's able to turn it around on this, what could end up being our final map here. Boise State is able to take it. And Boise State looks like they're at least going to be able to take the point first, which is always a good start. The start you're looking for if you're a Boise State fan. Boise State! Kennesaw State's not even pushing right now. It looks like Nitro Galaxy's going to walk in and see what damage they can do, but they're walking right into a Sombra and a Monkey, and so they're unable to do really much of anything. But Goblin hasn't been able to get any big hacks so far yet, and their translocator has been destroyed, so they don't have a safe way out, as it looks like Kamsky and Nitro Galaxy are going to go down. That's Boise State up too. They need to keep pushing if they want this, and the members of Kennesaw State are weak, as Prototyper's immediately going to go down, and so is Watts, and that is just a fight for Boise State. Play-Doh on 31% HP there, coming back to Maxwell for a little bit of healing. And that is Boise State with a clean fight win, 37, and climbing as we go here to Kennesaw State's nothing. And Kennesaw State, now with the swaps, does not have an ultimate advantage. It is massively in Boise State's favor. So as long as they don't blow all their ultimates in one fight, we can continue to hold them probably at this huge EMP. Is going to come off just off screen onto 5 members. Matt Merck is there with the follow-up. Kansky, Itzko, and Woods are going to go down. And that is Boise State just winning the fight. Kenzen's just going to, that feels so bad, going to walk right off the map there because there's not a ton Kenzen can do as a solo tracer, even with Pulse Bomb, to stop that fight from going Boise State's favor. And now Kennesaw State is putting in a very difficult position because Boise State is 71 and climbing. So if Kennesaw State doesn't win the next fight, it'll go to 99 and Boise State will win. And with Kenzen going down, that's a pretty good fight starter for Boise State. Goblin really coming alive and really getting a lot of value on this summer, showing why that was a viable hero pick in the first place. Kamsky's gonna get up, but so is Matt Merck, leaving Boise State still up 1. And down, but Kennesaw State down to their main healer. ISO's gonna go weak, but not be taken down fully. Nitro Galaxy's just gonna get pulse bombed on the point, courtesy of, you guessed it, Play-Doh on that Tracer. Goblin's getting eliminated, but we think this is a pretty comfortable Boise State fight win here. as the remaining member. Somebody's got to do something about Kenzen on that high ground on that Cassidy, and Maxwell has decided the person to do something about that is him. And Plato's going to take the elimination, but Maxwell on the DPS Moira actually did most of that damage. Don't be fooled. Boise State is going to take that. And that is just Boise State. That is the conclusion of Boise State versus Kennesaw State. They're finally winning on the control point. Kennesaw State gave us more than a run for our money there, taking one map and one draw off of us, and then Boise State is going to win that in the best of 3 with 3. And Boise State really came alive on that final map. We had some hiccups, most notably on Volskaya, but we proved why we deserve to be in the playoffs, and we want to keep going. So now after that, but don't leave yet, we do still have more Overwatch action. It will be Boise State versus Bay State, who is somebody that we have not had success in the past against. So we'll see if Boise State will be able to kind of like elevate themselves, find it within themselves to win this matchup. But before we do that, we're going to go to a break.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Hello and welcome back into the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. Boise State did just finish up our first match against Kennesaw State. We did end up with a win, though Kennesaw State more than gave us a run for our money there with a draw on Volskaya and a win as well. And then after that, we will have Boise State versus Bay State Overwatch, which is a team we have a lot of history with, and Boise State is not the favored win here, so we will really have to elevate ourselves and try to really clean some things up from our Kennesaw State match if we want to win. I am still your host, Colby D'Angelo Alloway, and before we actually get into the exciting Bay State rematch up against Boise State here, we do have a player of the game from our match against Kennesaw State that deserves to be recognized, and then some top 5 plays. And so with that, we will get right into the player of the game, and it will be Plato. Plato, I will say, was the most consistent DPS for the side of Boise State. They were popping off every map. There were definitely times in which they had an unfortunate time getting into the fight and maybe got picked sometimes by Kenzen, but they were overall very consistent, especially on the Ashe, and we even saw their incredible Reaper play. But this play on Ashe enabled Boise State to cap 3rd point Havana, which is an almost impossible task for most of these teams, even in collegiate high-level Overwatch here. So Plato is your Idaho Central player of the game, and the player of the game is brought to you by Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central is helping members achieve financial success. Plato is, again, the Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game. And there was, in my humble opinion, nobody on the side of Boise State that deserved it more from our match against Kennesaw State. And with that, we're going to lead up into our top 5 plays from the Kennesaw State game, and then right after that, we'll take you into more Overwatch action of Boise State versus Bay State. Gonna teleport in and use that Earth Shatter onto Kenzen. That's a feels bad right there, getting the Shatter kill. Matt Burke is going to be taken weak, but luckily a well-placed Immortality Field courtesy of Asu is going to be able to keep Matt Burke up just barely long enough to get healed. Nitro Galaxy and Wads are going to go down as well, and you got to think that's a fight win for Boise State, even as the remaining member comp swap. We see the comp swap for Kennesaw State as well. Nitro Galaxy on that Reinhardt, Wads on that base. Boise State better tap that out. Kamsky's going to get eliminated again. That's a good fight for Boise State, especially as Nitro Galaxy follows that out as well. If Boise State can continue to target focus and keep people alive, this could be just a 3rd point gets the elimination of Kenzen. I was just about to talk how they need to watch that Cole Cassiel, but you don't need to watch it if he's eliminated, but he is going to get immediately red there, putting a little bit of a damper on all Boise State's plans. But Matt Burke says, I have Shatter, presses the funny button and gets the double elimination of Kenzen and ISO, as well as Kamsky. Maxwell will go down, which could, but not the Lucio, which is the most important member, then Gravis and Bob are going to immediately come after that. Boise State has decided this is their fight. They're going to commit all of their ultimates and not be able to get the point because Prototyper's just going to get a 3K on the bomb. But the remaining members of Boise State are still trying to get this and hunt down that Lucio. Goblin's going to get point. And Kennesaw State is unable to get on it, so Boise State's just going to go ahead and flip that at 19% for Kennesaw and 88 and climbing for Boise State as the remaining members of Kennesaw are going to be eliminated in that room. Boise State just kind of juked and walked around them, and they weren't ready for it, even as that bomb's going to be dropped on the point. Hello and welcome back into the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. We will be joining our Bay State map in progress. You can hear the teams screaming right now, so you have to assume that that is probably a map 1 win for Boise State on Lijiang Gardens here. And then we will be joining next map, which will be hybrid immediately after that. But honestly, map 1 against a team like Bay State, this is not a team that we have been able to win overall against before. But taking Lijiang off of them, I don't know, definitely could be in the cards for Boise State tonight. I'm still your host, Colby D'Angelo Alloway. You had me for the Kennesaw game, and now you still have me for the Bay State game. And I would say that the feeling overall in the arena right now is pretty good right now. We have the players. We as casters and production feel great because Boise State picked up map 1 on Lijiang. We will be going to a map 2, and Boise State, they have to play clean. They have to play together. They have to also kind of clean up some individual mechanical things that were a little bit of a problem against Kennesaw State. But obviously all of those things must be working well for them if we took map 1. And so take a look at the bracket here. The winner of Boise State and Bay State will go against UCI, which is another team that Boise State previously didn't think we could beat. And then we turned an upset, and these are teams that Boise State has shown they have the right to play. And Boise State, with the win over UCI in the past, we could be able to take it home against Bay State tonight. But then immediately after that, Boise State might need to go after Northwood. And so if we do this gargantuan thing tonight, we're just going to have gargantuan task after gargantuan task. These massive teams that have been the top of the bracket in ABC, in NACE for years. But if Boise State can pull off the upset tonight, that is the first step to many at having a shot at being the NACE champions here. And we're definitely going for it. We're definitely feeling good. And with that, there are some specific so with NACE Overwatch, there are some very specific rules that you have to abide by. It is a 6v6 competitive. It is a best of 5. And the map order goes Control, which we did just win on, Hybrid, Escort, Assault, and then back to Control if it gets that far. And they are double elim. So if Boise State loses this, we and another team will get eliminated. But if Boise State can pick this up, we move on in the bracket and get one step closer to the NACE Grand Finals. And there are some very specific keys to the game that Boise State is looking to take advantage of here, and that is Doc's keys to the game. Doc's keys to the game in Overwatch is to understand your comp/play style, focus on each fight, get good ult value, and the objective is greater than kills. And Doc's keys to the game are brought to you by Drop-In Gaming. Drop-In Gaming is the premier online platform for gamers who seek competition. Play your favorite games to win cash and prizes through free and paid entry matches and tournaments. Whether you are new to the scene or a seasoned veteran, Drop-In Gaming has the right games and competition for you. To begin your competitive gaming journey, sign up at dropingaming.com. And I think we are still waiting to go into lobby to get into this second match up here, which will be hybrid. So before we get into that, some strategies that Boise State has had a lot of success with on hybrid. We know Matt Merck on the Reinhardt. We know Plato on the May. Those are characters that have had, those are people that have had a lot of success on those heroes in Overwatch. We have definitely had some good times, especially on King's Row. On Numbani, it tends to, just as we saw against Kennesaw State University Kennesaw State earlier in the night, Bagel is huge on that Zenyatta in that upper right-hand corner as the attackers approach. For a long time, their Monkey and their Diva were unable to approach Bagel, were unable to dive Bagel. So these are definitely some viable strats that Boise State could run regardless of the map before we go into that. Boise State versus Bay State. It could be absolutely huge if we could get this win tonight and we're on a good start. The players are feeling good. The players are playing well as a team, and everybody's an individual player is popping. It feels like watching Boise State now against Bay State feels like almost a completely different team than watching them against Kennesaw State, who gave us more than a run for our money and more than a run in some ways than was predicted by many coaches on Twitter. Boise State has really taken that little 30-minute break there to reset as a team, and that is honestly super, super important to any team that is going into this. And we do have our starting lineup. It does look like it will be Matt Merkel, Maxwell, Plato, Asu, and Bagel still. It does look like we still have Asu in that main support lineup, which they did rise to the challenge against Kennesaw, so we expect them to do the same against Bay State. And then for Bay State, we have Abs, Neb, Faded, Infernal, Forgotten, and Cabe. These are all massive players. We are expecting some particular struggles from Faded and Infernal on the Bay State DPS lineup there. Boise State definitely has some players to be wary of, but we are more than rising to the challenge. And honestly, Asu on the Baptiste is warmed up. And it does actually sound like Chosen is being subbed in last minute before we get into the lobby for Asu. So we do have our usual starting lineup that we run against these teams. Chosen, hopefully ready to rise to the same challenge. They didn't get necessarily the warm-up match against Kennesaw State, but they are an overall exceptional player, especially on that Baptiste. And one of the most mechanically skilled players that Boise State overall has, according to Doc Haskell. Those two mechanically skilled players that have been mentioned by name are specifically Kel and Chosen. So it will be great to have Chosen back in this match, even though Asu more than filled their shoes. And it does look like we are going to Kings Row here, which is good for Boise State. Boise State has some very specific strategies that we like to run that have brought us success on Kings Row. And last time we were there, we just barely got beaten out. But hopefully tonight, Boise State can take this out, presumably with a wall in Mall Comp, which is typically what Boise State likes to run. We see that Diva definitely camping that top door and a Widowmaker. Hopefully nobody gets immediately eliminated, and Boise State is in the red with Bay State in the blue. Boise State does have the Reinhardt, Diva, Cole Cassidy, May, Chosen on the Baptiste, and Bagel on the Lucio. This is the dream team. These are the people that are going to try to take down the behemoth that is Bay State. Bay State running their own counter Ryan and May. Plato's going to go down first, which is not what Boise State wants to see against Faded here. But then Matt Merck and Goblin are immediately going to go down as well. And you have to think, once the team's May goes down, the rest of the team goes down with them. And that is a clean first fight win for Bay State. If Boise State wants to take this, they need to make sure all of their members get to the fight. That was a problem they were having against Kennesaw State, but they were able to fix map 1 on Lijiang, so hopefully they'll be able to fix that Kings Row. Bay State, however, because of that fight win, is winning the battle of the ultimate economy. Abs has Amp Matrix, Chosen does not yet, and the Cole Cassidy Deadeye through that amplification matrix could be huge, and Goblin and Chosen are not close enough to pull off the same combination, even as Boise State takes the high ground here and rotates around. And historically, these long rotations for Boise State on this high ground have been huge. We are setting up to take the fight that we want, and now we've charged Chosen an amplification matrix, which is going to come out from high ground just as the tanks drop. Maywall almost really big, just barely misses, stopping all of the damage there. Immortality Field's going to come out to keep Matt Merck alive. Infernal's going to get out of mech. That's huge. Forgotten getting eliminated first. Goblin winning the battle with Cole Cassidy. Goblin's going to go ahead and start that fight with the elimination. Infernal, Faded, and Micon are all going to come down immediately after that. Plato getting huge value on that main. At this point, it's It's all Kabe can do to just stall point as long as they can. And Boise State, we didn't win first fight. We went in at a disadvantage. But we're going to take second fight in a dominating fashion. And now, because of that, the ultimate economy has been flipped massively in Boise State's favor. But Cave still has a Blizzard, and Plato is 20% to their own. So we really will need to watch Cave's presumable Blizzard right on the point. Goblin's going to get a little bit of a zoning noon there as Boise State is pushed all the way up to second point there, as they should, but they need somebody on that cart. Boise State approaching point number 2 with 4 minutes remaining. And the biggest barrier to our success is going to be Cave with that May ultimate. All eyes will be on Kel to eat that, or on Matt Mert to block Faded's Shatter. The first wall is going to come out. Nobody's really going to get too divided. Second wall is going to come out. Both teams are still with each other. Both May walls not getting a lot of value. Faded's going to be taken weak, be forced to back out. Diva Bomb's going to come out, and so is Shatter. But Matt Mert, like the god he is going to block that Shatter. Cave's going to get taken down, and that's their second win condition. Even as Sound Barrier comes out, there's not a lot Bay State can do as they are down 2 and have been unable to eliminate anybody on the side of Boise State here. That is 1 amplification matrix from Abs for 2 of Chosen's, as both of those are going to come out there. And the zoning Cassidy ultimate that we're going to see again get no value except for the reload maybe. Kel's going to launch their bomb and see what they can get, knowing the immortality field is down. Will be unable to find value anyway just because of the shield. Maywall's going to come out, unable to, both Maywalls are going to come out. And that is a Cave Blizzard on the cart. We were looking for it, but Matt Merck and Chosen are both going to fall to that. And that's not good for Boise State. Boise State, off the cusp of the Blizzard, is going to lose that fight. We pushed in too aggressively, still knowing that they had the Blizzard, and we were unable to eat it. And so Boise State is going to lose that fight on second point with 2 minutes and 37 seconds remaining. Kel's going to get hard staggered, costing Boise State a few more precious seconds here. Boise State does still have the ultimate advantage going into this next fight, which could prove huge. And now it is Bay State that will be watching a Blizzard from Boise State, presumably again on the card. On the approach here, we will also have to watch Abs charging that Baptiste ult, but Boise State is just going to speed right onto them from high ground, I believe, which could be huge here. We do see the Deadeye come out, is not able to get any value. Plato is looking for their Blizzard, just in the Goblin's looking for some pot shots there, unable to capitalize on any of them, but getting a ton of damage in. Mayo's going to come out right onto the point, but Chosen's going to get eliminated to the Deadeye. Not what you're looking for if you're Boise State. Faded is also going to go down, but so is Matt Merck, leaving Boise State still down 1, now down 2. As Cave is going to go ahead and win the battle of the maze. That is Boise State committing Blizzard to a fight that they lost because of the Deadeye in rotations. Huge job by Forgotten there, getting the Deadeye just as the members of Boise State were rotating between 1 and 2. And Kel is going to get staggered again as the last member getting eliminated. Matt Merck will be able to fall back to Chosen and charge another amplification matrix for him there. But now Boise State is pushing into presumably Sound Barrier. So anything they do offensively is going to be answered defensively. Or Bay State could choose to use that Sound Barrier and just walk right into Boise State here. Faded also has the Earth Shatter, so Matt Merck really needs to focus on blocking that just like they did last Shatter. We fully expect them to be able to, even as they're moved back. That shield is brought weak. Matt Merck themselves is brought weak. Amplification Matrix still not coming out as both Maywalls are going to come down. Infernal on the Diva going to get back. That is Abs, Mycon, and Cave all down as Boise State is going to push through and get Faded on that Reinhardt. That is a fight win for Boise State, and Bay State will unlikely be able to touch. So now at this point, it is just, we take point 2 with 21 seconds remaining. That's a Boise State ace. This is exactly what we were looking for. Now as we approach third point, Boise State the ultimates are still pretty even. So it will come down to individual play and individual ultimate. Yes! Usage as Goblin's going to get that elimination on the Mycon, who just went barely beyond the shield there. Faded's going to follow up on that. Boise State's up 2. Now they're just up 1. Now they're back up 2 again as Abs is going to go down. That is no support for the side of Bay State. Boise State can't be aggressive though because they lost Matt Merck in the rotation there. And we also need to get somebody on the cart, just, you know, whenever it's convenient, which is right now as Inferno's going to go down. The ultimates are slightly tipped in the favor of Bay State here, and the respawn advantage are definitely in the favor of Bay State, as both AM Matrixes and both walls are going to come down. So Sound Barrier keeping everybody up for both teams except for Mycon Cave and Faded, as they're going to go down in just as in the order they did last fight. Boise State won. Play-Doh is the price, but with Inferno and Bagel's going to go down. That is Boise State down 2 of their members, but up 2 overall. But respawn advantages could be disastrous for Boise State here approaching this final checkpoint. Bay State has swapped over onto the Bastion at that right-hand door. They're just waiting, zoning Deadeye coming out from Goblin there, and it's zoning out the Bastion, which is pretty good. Immortality Field's going to come down from Chosen and be immediately eliminated, as well as Kale. I don't think Boise State was ready for the damage that Bastion was putting out, or the respawns of Bay State immediately coming out. Cave is immediately going to swap over onto that May. Probably pretty good. You don't want to be sitting on a Bastion there. Matt Murph has the Earth Shatter, but so does Faded, so it'll be a battle of the Rhines to see who can lay the enemy team out. Deadeye's going to come out. Presumably Boise State will be able to line of sight it, but First Shadow's going to come out and get no value, but then Matt Murph is going to fall to the Deadeye because their shield is broken. Faded's going to get the Shatter value onto Cal, and that is Boise State's fight end as the remaining members scatter off of the point.
Score.
But honestly, not being able to cap third point, less than optimal, not necessarily what we were looking for. But now that we're on defense, this is a defensible point. We did get the cart pushed enough. This is a winnable goalpost for Boise State still here. They will have to have a really good first point defense if they want to take this, or second point defense, because third point is going to get sketchy no matter how you look at it, because Boise State was not able to full cap. So even though third point is usually the most defensive point where most teams eat a lot of time, Boise State doesn't have that luxury, and so they will have to find other ways to burn time off of the clock as we go in here. It does look like there's not a ton of swap-ups on comps. We expect both teams to come out with the Reinhardt and with the May. Maybe one team or the other will do something unexpected. But it looks like both teams still have the May, still have the Cole Cassidy, we still have the Diva, and we still have the Baptiste Lucio. Neither team is really willing to swap anything out, but the attackers do have a Widowmakers, just as Boise State first popped out with. So you got to think that the defenders have to be ready for maybe a Widowmaker snipe here.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
Widowmaker's going to pop up top. They will be unable to find any initial value with their first couple of snipes. They're going to go back to swap, understandably. Forgotten on that Widowmaker, swapping from Widowmaker to Cole Cassidy. That is a mirror matchup for both of the teams. Better Maywall wins this first point. Both teams are both Maywalls come down at the same time. The teams are now fighting in between the Maywall. Chosen is 1v1ing the Cole Cassidy in the pack there, which is a little scary. They're going to go ahead and jump to high ground and be 100% okay. Abel and Faded are going to go down. Boise State's up 2. That's main tank. That's main healer. Now's the time to push. May's just going to get walled up. Chosen's going to get eliminated by Mycon in the back. A huge price for Boise State to pay, and ultimately going to cost them a lot of aggression as they wait for them to get back. If Bay State wants to push this, now would be the time. Boise State, however, is wisely backing up, trying to limit the amount of time they have to spend separate from Chosen here. Amplification Maker comes out. Chosen is back in the fight. Boise State can be aggressive. Matt Murph lays them out, but with no follow-up there for the Shatter. Matt Murph will now have to be aware of Faded's own Earth Shatter that is also charged. Goblin's going to come out with the Deadeye. It's not going to be able to get anything just yet. Maybe useful for a reload there. Blizzard's going to come out on the Play-Doh onto 4 members of Bay State. Faded's going to go down. Forgotten's going to go down, and so is Cave. And that is a huge fight win off the cusp of Play-Doh, who was the better May in this engagement. They charged Blizzard faster, and they were able to use it to great success. And that's what these mirror matchups are all about. People individually playing in their roles better, because at this level, you expect Boise State and Bay State to have team dynamics. But it's going to come down to who plays the better May or who plays the better Baptiste. And in that fight, it happened to be Play-Doh. Kel's coming down with the bomb. Both May walls go out. Both teams sustaining for now. Deadeye, Cole Cassidy is going to come out. Abs its immortality field. Goblin's going to go down. That's That's Boise State down one to the box. Boise State now even as Chosen gets the elimination on the Faded. At an advantage, actually. Aggro B comes out. Boise State needs some more eliminations here, and they get it on the Cape. Bagel pushes just a little too far in that Blizzard. Gets eliminated by Matt Merck is shattering to stay alive at this point. Immediately gets eliminated by Frog. Chosen is going to go down as well. And you got to think that is first point lost for Boise State, as Plato is one of the only remaining members there, and they're not going to get back fast enough to recontest this. Bagel's just running out, understandably, to get their remaining members out of spawn, to get Kel, maybe even to swap. No, they just want Plato back for the reset at this corner. And honestly, with 1 minute and 15, now 3 minutes and 42, phenomenal Boise State first point hold. Now they need to do a phenomenal second point hold to dwindle down as much time as they possibly can before Bay State gets to that third checkpoint. Boise State is still at an ultimate advantage, still having that May ultimate up. Cabe is 43 now. We will probably May ultimate onto the cart just as the archway goes through. Shatter will not get a lot of value from Faded. Matt Merck is able to block that as we expect from Matt Merck. Goblin also has the Cole Cassidy ultimate should we choose to use it. Whiteo's gonna Blizzard right on the cart. Forgotten's down, but that's Faded down too. Boise State needs to get into them now, even if the sound barrier is committed. It is too little, too late by Mycon there, but Boise State's gonna take that advantage because that is a sound barrier wasted. Even as Cave is going to go down, and now the ultimate favors even more Boise State because we used a Blizzard, but we gained Amp Matrix, Bomb, and Shatter for that. And it'll be up to Matt Mert to kind of put the hammer on the table and lay the enemy team out against Faded's own 12% Shatter, or Kel to eat Cave's 99, now 100% Blizzard going into this. Maywell's going to come down, so his Amplification Matrix. Diva Bomb's not going to get a lot of value other than Chosen's Immortality Field, but Chosen was taken so weak by that Diva Bomb they will be immediately eliminated after that. Matt Mert and Goblin are going to come down in quick fashion. That is Boise State using 2 ultimates and then losing the fight because of that Diva Bomb in the back that forced Chosen's hand with the Immortality Field and ended up leading to their elimination. But Boise State does have enough time to get back to have a second fight, to have a second hold against this second point here. Bagel's going to make sure they taxi everybody to the fight here, and now Plato is 93 to their next Blizzard. Amplification Matrix is going to come out, so's Wall, that's the answering Diva Bomb's going to come out. Kel Diva Bomb able to get their own Immortality Field from Abs, but with no follow-up, Abs themselves is not eliminated. Forgotten is going to get eliminated by Plato. That is Boise State up 1. Boise State can't really push through that wall, and now they can because that wall is down. They're going to wall their own. Going to get the elimination on Cave on there. Faded is also going to fall in there, and that is a fight for Boise State. It really feels like Boise State is getting the value they need to out of the May, and that is why this defense is going so well for them. Bay State now has 1 minute and 6 seconds, and they haven't been able to cap second point yet. And because of how close that marker is on third point, Boise State is in a very comfortable map to take map 2 here, as ultimates are still in Boise State's advantage here. Almost 6 to Bay State's 3. Almost 5, but they need to act before Cave gets Blizzard, and they're doing exactly that. A High Noon's going to come out, be unable to get anybody. Almost gets that Lucio for being a second too long. Goblin's going to get a flash ban in there. Blizzard's going to come out in the room. Mycon's going to answer with the sound barrier. Everybody's still up for now. Faded's going to get a huge shatter, but with no follow-up. Nobody's going to go down except for Chosen and Bagel. That's Boise State, no support. Kel, Maverick, and Plato and Goblin are all going to immediately go on after that. I mean, you saw it immediately. Chosen and Bagel were down, and so was everybody else on the side of Boise State. Off the back of some huge shatter follow-up by Faded there. Boise State will not be able to contest this. It looks like they're trying, but they have no ultimates except for shatter, but they're going into bomb. Goblin's gonna go down to Infernal, leaving Boise State down 1, but a huge shatter comes out from Matt Mert. With no follow-up though, and the Immortality Field coming out, no eliminations will be had yet, and Boise State really needs some eliminations, so they were, there it is, 1 on the Forgotten, but 2 on the Matt Mert and Kel, off the cusp of Faded. You gotta think that's probably fight end for Boise State here, as the remaining members just see if they can get it into overtime. Getting second point into overtime is huge, though, because now Boise State only has to defend this third point, almost capped, for 1 minute and 21 seconds. If Bay State wants to cap this third point, it'll be off the cusp of some huge ultimates. So at this point, Boise State just needs to play the ult management game. And with both teams relatively even going into this last minute on Ultimate Economy, things are looking very winnable for Boise State here tonight against Bay State. Maywall's going to come out. Plato's going to get the elimination on the cave, winning the battle of the maze yet again. Chosen's Immortality Field is going to come out. Matt Marcus, weak and scared. Going to go ahead and back off there, get eliminated by Infernal. Wasn't able to back off hard enough, but Forgotten and Faded are going to get eliminated in place of Matt Merck as well. And with Abs down, that is a fight lost for Bay State. And now Bay State is in last fight territory. But with 78 to the Blizzard, their May needs to charge that immediately and use it as soon as they get it. So this will be up to Boise State to not fall victim to a Blizzard, because if they wipe once and Bay State has 3 members on the cart, it is likely they will be able to cap this. And with 84 and climbing, Cave really has to pull off some impressive stuff in this last fight to get that Blizzard. And Bagel, 98 sound barrier, is the counter that Boise State needs here. Bagel has the sound barrier, waiting for the May Blizzard to come out wisely in that back right-hand corner. Infernal's gonna get booped off the high ground. Plato, Boise State's already down with massive respawn advantages. That is sound barrier out before Blizzard. Boise State is put in a really uncomfortable position. Now Kel needs to eat that Blizzard. That Blizzard is not gonna get eaten. The Shatter gets blocked. Boise State is losing the battle of the ultimates right now as Matt Merck is gonna go down. Forgotten's gonna get the double Deadeye elimination onto the point, and Boise State is going to win that. No, forgive me, the graphic was wrong. That is a win by Bay State there, which Boise State needed to play the Ultimate Economy game, and we ended up losing it. We weren't ready for that May Blizzard, and we weren't ready for all of our members to be split and down one. But this was a huge Forgotten play. Now we get to see what happened as the members of Boise State were torn through by the Cole Cassidy after the immediate shatter in that room. But 1-1 is pretty good. As we go into this next matchup, Boise State is still feeling pretty good. This is still very winnable. They took that last one to overtime, even though they weren't able to full cap. It took everything Bay State had to win that map, and ultimately they just won the Battle of the Ultimates, that last point. And the Battle of the Ultimates is the easiest problem that a team can have to fix, because especially on teams like Boise State, you have people that are tracking all the ultimates. They know when the May Blizzard is coming out. It's just sometimes they're unable to rotate out of that or respond in a way that lets them win that fight, which is a very easy thing to fix, as we are now waiting in lobby to go to our next matchup. I would say the biggest thing that Bay State is doing well, I think their ultimates they're using well, and I think they are able to just in general get more specific shatter value. That's not to say that Boise State has been getting bad shatters, because they definitely have gotten some big shatters. I think that Bay State just focuses more on breaking the shield before the shatter comes out, because that's what has been happening in these shatters that get that huge value. But to the credit of Boise State, I think Boise State 100% won the Battle of the Maze. We ended up having difficulties with that final Blizzard just because we had to commit sound barrier too early to that, but that is super easily. We had to answer their aggro sound barrier with our own, and there were just too many things to have to use the sound barrier on, but that's easily fixable. And before we get into this next matchup, which is pretty even between these two teams, we're going to go to a break.
NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Hello and welcome back to the Boise State Esports Game Pants Arena. We have a very exciting matchup tonight that is currently in progress. It is Boise State versus Bay State, and both teams have managed to win a map at this point, and it has been fighting tooth and nail for either of these teams to win. So this is still anybody's game as we are going to go to our next map, which will be Escort. And since Boise State lost last map, it is likely that we will pick something like Havana, just because that is something Boise State has had a great amount of success with in the past, and we had a great amount of success on Kings Row as well. As you can hear in the background, people here at the stadium are feeling pretty good. The players are feeling good. The coaches are feeling good. The casters and production are also feeling pretty good. I am still your host, Colby D'Angelo Alloway, here for the Boise State versus Bay State game. And our next map is Escort, and we are thinking Havana. So before we go ahead and get into that map, I'm going to act like it is Havana and walk you through some successful strats that Boise State has ran on that map. And the biggest, most notable one that Boise State has had success with is the close hold on defense. It's likely that if Boise State, because Boise State has even taken big name colleges like UCI and held them fully first point with a close hold. This is definitely something that Boise State can do that Bay State may not be ready for. And the benefit of a close hold is it gives you 2 solid hold points, especially because the idea is you go in and everybody surrounds the door and you get as many eliminations as you can for as long as you can outside of their spawn. The point of that is not to get 4 minutes off the clock. The point of that is to get like a minute 30 if you're really lucky. And then we are going to come out onto Havana, which is huge for Boise State here. And the close hold strategy, again, the idea is about a minute 30 with this first hold, and then you back up to that corner that we're viewing right now. As long as you clean wipe on the cart, and especially because Boise State usually runs a Lucio, we are able to get back in time to hold that high ground and that corner where most teams just start initially. But because of the close hold that Boise State usually does, teams get to that point get to that corner with a minute and 30 less than they would usually have otherwise. So there's really no reason not to close hold on Havana first point. And then Boise State on attack typically runs something like a Bastion. We've had success with that in the past as we see Goblin lock that immediately and Plato on that Symmetra. Bay State has the May and the Cole Cassidy. It looks like going for the same close hold strat. That wall is going to get burned through immediately in the face of the damage boosted Bastion courtesy of Bagel. Mycon's going to get the first elimination though on the Matt Earth, which has Boise State not looking so good as they just get walked into, and Faded gets eliminated as the price for Boise State troubles here, but Cal and Goblin are going to go down. Chosen, not one to Chosen getting doped there in the back, going to get the elimination on the Mycon, and then almost get the DMAC onto the Diva, and almost the elimination there, but Cave finally gets the better of them. Bagel wisely choosing not to res. This is just a reset. It is always a sad day when you have to res right outside of your spawn. Goblin's gonna just pop off though and get abs and cape on the Ashe that Bay State wasn't ready for. They probably expected the Bastion for at least another fight. Goblin says, no, I'm just gonna click your head. And with that, Boise State has pushed to this first choke point and is now camping Bay State. They know where they are. They know they're coming from that back right-hand corner, and Boise State's looking at it, and Boise State is prepared to intercept here. Goblin is going to be forced to give up a little bit of space here, just as Bay State walks in. Baden is weak, and that's a dynamite through the amplification maker. Plato could be able to take huge value out of this round. So Matt Burke, and then Mike on Boise State is up 1, but things are still a little scary because we are down our main tank on that Reinhardt, but Kel still has a shield of their own. So Boise State is still in this. Plato's going to get the elimination on Inferno. That is Boise State up 2, and we need to push like now to get these members off the cart, especially as the wall's going to come down. There is no escape for Bay State as the members of Boise State are closing in on them. Blizzard's going to come out for case, but they are down members, and it will be unable to find anybody on the side of Boise State. Kel's going to answer with their own. Dang it! Forgot! Stop with the noon there! That is an elimination of the Plato, Goblin, and Chosen, and that's just saying feels bad. Nobody was ready for that high noon, and they got a triple kill, Deadeye. Fish, I wish you were here to feel just as bad as I do because of that Deadeye elimination there. Forgotten, be sure your team thanks you. You handed them that fight. Goblin gets eliminated outside of spawn, which is a feels bad, but ultimately he'll be back before anything of consequence happens, and Plato is going into this fight with Blizzard, but Bay State does have the ultimate advantage going into this because they have sound barrier, they have bomb, and they do have shatter, so they could use that sound barrier against Goblin's Bob or Plato's Blizzard. Bob's gonna go in, hit the May wall there. Baden's being taken weak, but not taken out just yet. Goblin running away from that bomb. Axe is gonna check out Chosen's immortality field there. Nighthawk's gonna be the first one in this fight. No sound barrier for Bay State as he's gonna go to Matt Merck. Chosen and Bagel are still gonna go down there though, just for getting walled and mauled in that room. And that is the end of the fight for Boise State as Plato is trying to get as much Blizzard charge as they can after using their ultimate that last fight. And we gotta think maybe the room isn't the move for Boise State, just because Boise State has Goblin on the Ashe and now on the Hanzo versus Bay State's Cole Cassidy that can easily help in the room. Forgotten has another Deadeye. It's going to get walled off. Fooled me once. It's not going to happen again, even as he is raised up for that Deadeye. No triple kill in sight, which is what, whoa, that was a big fire strike on the side of Bay State there. Faded getting a lot of value. Amplification matrix is going to come out, and then Chosen has their own amplification matrix should they choose to commit it, which they do. Boise State now in a position to fire through that amplification matrix. The wall leaves a little spot just at the left there. The wall's going to go down, but then Blade's going to put his own wall up. Kel's going to get another massive Sigma ultimate, but Immortality Field's going to stop anybody from dying. A huge sound barrier comes out. Goblin, thank your support there. Matt Merck's going to go down. And Boise State really needs some eliminations in this fight, but is unable to be as aggressive as they want. Kel's going to get the elimination of the cave. The team's even. Kel and Faded are going to trade, and so now that is Boise State down both tanks, but still in this fight. Matt Merck is now re-engaged as a Reinhardt on the card. That is scary. Even as Forgotten's going to get the elimination on the Goblin. That's not what Boise State is looking for. Matt Merck is left in the unfortunate position of just having to sit on the cart without any team support, and it looks like Boise State is out of this, especially as Kel is going to get booped. And it looks like we were talking about Boise State having a great first point hold, because they do. But so does Bay State. They did the exact close hold strategy that we were expecting to come out from Boise State, and they had massive success with it. This was Plato popping off, or Goblin, excuse me, popping off immediately out of spawn with that Mercy pocket, getting abs and cape, which enabled Boise State to push even as far as they did to that corner. Boise State is in a really uncomfortable position. We do not like where this cart is at, and we can't afford to give up any more maps here, so Boise State's only option is to close hold initially and then hold at the cart just like Bay State did. And the good thing is that Boise State was probably already planning on doing a close hold, but it's never good when you're forced into doing a close hold and forced to defend this first point. Boise State has to play just as perfectly as Bay State did on their first defense. If they lose both Matt Merck and Cal at the same time, or Chosen on that Baptiste, they will probably just lose this. And so it will be up to those three members in particular to stay alive. Not just longer than the enemy tanks or enemy main support, but just in general. Because Boise State loses a lot of ability to do the things that they want to do if they're down both of their tanks or their main support. And with Forgotten going down first, that's what we're looking for. Hopefully Boise State can keep this up for another 3 minutes and 48 seconds. As Bagel is just wall riding, going to boot the enemy team into them. Faded is weak, is going to get taken out. Matt Merck's going to take out Infernal, and Goblin's going to take out Faded, and that is a first fight win for Boise State, getting almost 30 seconds off of that initial clock just outside of their spawn. Boise State needs to keep this up, however. This is not a normal close hold. Boise State can afford to lose exactly one fight and wipe exactly once. And with some ultimates coming on Bay State, it'll just be a matter of how fast they can charge them. They're going to get the elimination on the cave. They're going to get on Forgotten. That is Boise State up 2. Play-Doh now only out 1. Boise State down both of their tanks. Matt Merck is going to get a huge shatter, and off the cusp of that, Goblin with the Deadeye. Goblin's going to get a huge double kill, and that's Boise State continuing to hold. But Bay State now has ultimates. And this is going, if anything wipes Boise State, it's going to be Bay State using huge ultimates. They have amplification matrix, and they have shatters to use to their advantage. Wall's going to come out, try to block some of that. Chosen's going to use their own amplification matrix. Shatter's going to come down, landing on the 3 members of Boise State, and that's Chosen down. This is a really uncomfortable position for Boise State, and the rest of the members are just going to wipe because they know that once you're down your main healer, you can't stay on that cart much longer. Boise State now is in the very rough position of making a mad dash to that cart where it stopped. But honestly, we said it before, a minute to a minute 30 is a really good close hold. Now the hard part is holding this corner for 2 minutes and 12 seconds. This is the big challenge that Boise State is going to face. And at an ultimate disadvantage, Play-Doh needs to get Blizzard now. Forgotten's going to go down, which is a pretty good fight starter for Boise State. Play-Doh does have that Blizzard, but we are up 1, so Play-Doh's hesitating on using it. Count's going to get pinned, immediately taken out of mech, and almost eliminated, barely living, but it'll be Infernal instead that goes down. And Faded is also going to go down. Play-Doh is going to commit the Blizzard, even as they're eliminated, guaranteeing a fight win for Boise State as long as we can get people in there and get some follow-up damage on them. Both sound barriers are used on both teams. Mycon's going to go down to Goblin, even through the sound barrier. Won't save you from Goblin. He's going to get Cave on that. And now, at this point, Goblin's just pushing, but he's pushing into 3 members by himself. The rest of his team is there. Chosen's going to go ahead and get Forgotten, and that is Boise State holding at this corner at an ultimate advantage. And now Boise State is put in the position again of playing the ultimate game. Boise State right now has Earth Shatter and Deadeye, both ultimates that have been used to great effect, and Bay State just has Amplification Matrix. But Boise State will have to watch out for Sound Barrier and Blizzard. Even as that Deadeye's going to come out, not get any eliminations immediately, but then Goblin's going to get faded. Matt Merck landing the huge shatter, not even letting him reset after they're down their main tank. That's going to buy Boise State an extra at least 10 seconds, and that's exactly what we're looking for, because with 44 seconds and ticking down, Boise State has a shot at this. But Boise State needs to get a huge amplification matrix or some picks in between fights before Bay State can use their ultimates, and even then, Bay State will have the opportunity to charge them. Wall's going to come down, but so's Amplification Matrix. No, Amplification Matrix not getting a ton of value just yet. They're going to push into the room and eliminate Faded. That's what we're looking for. Abs is right after that, and that's a Boise State fight win. Even as we go and push them into their spawn, Bay State, you have 15 seconds to do something tricky. And with 74 to your May ultimate, your May needs to really come through and clutch like they've never done before, but they might not even be able to get there. Boise State might just have this. This is a desperate rush to the point, and we are going to go ahead and win that map, and you just watched it. Boise State did the impossible to win Havana. We are huge huge Boise State fans here. We looked at that card position and we were like, I don't know if we can do it. But then Boise State did it and our team is celebrating. And this was a huge Matt Mirth play because after we got the elimination of the fan, Matt Mirth was like, I can go feral. And then proceeds to do exactly that, getting not the double kill, but the triple kill with the charge just to add a little bit extra just for flavor at the end there. And that is Boise State now up 2 maps and at match point against Bay State here. Boise State is 1 map away from pulling off a huge upset. And with that massive Havana win, we are going to throw to break.
So it's going to be
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Hello and welcome back to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. You are still following our NACE coverage of the Boise State versus Bay State matchup. You see our lovely production there in the back. We are here tonight for an upset in the making. Bay State is not a team that we have been able to beat so far in NACE, but Boise State's up 2-1 right now, going into 2CP Temple of Anubis. And everybody's feeling like we can really do this. I mean, we're all obviously Boise State fans here, but the players are feeling good, production's feeling good, casters and coaches are also feeling great. I'm still your host, Colby D'Angelo Alloway, and we would really like to win this. And we think we are closer than we have ever been so far in this matchup against Bay State. And going to Temple of Anubis, before we get into that, I'm going to walk you through some strategies as we wait for our lobby to get into the map. Some strategies that some teams have had some great success on is double shield. The Sigma and the Orisa typically tends to get a lot of value. There are definitely teams that are legendary for running spam comps, especially on defense of first point. Sometimes a first point spam comp can feel truly oppressive at all levels of play. But some things that are a little bit shocking that even Boise State has brought out is actually the teleporter with the Bastion strat. That is something that we occasionally bring out, usually when we're on our back foot. That is not necessarily our main strategy, but it is something that we have pulled out to win against teams like UCI, because sometimes you just need something unexpected. And what is more unexpected than a Bastion suddenly behind you? Very little. And we are going to go ahead and get right into the map here. Some other comps that have had some success are dive comps, but dive comps are very, very rare to see on Temple of Anubis because it's just, you have to have the coordination, and if they're running spam, you almost can't run dive into that. Usually Boise State likes to take long rotations through the right in the room there and then drop right onto point from that high ground. Or again, we've just teleported around them as well. Boise State doesn't typically do a lot on that first high ground there, at least on attack, unless we're running a dive, which we are not expecting to run tonight.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
As we set up here, it does look like Boise State is going to be in the red. We are running a dive comp. We do have Maxwell on the Sombra. We have swapped out Goblin from earlier. Hopefully Maxwell will be able to fill the massive shoes that Goblin left after that Cole Cassidy on Havana. Bay State is running a spam comp, which will be very difficult for Boise State to push into. So we're just not. We're just going to rotate around them. But down 2 members already, even touching the point of Sombra, isn't necessarily worth it. Boise State got caught out in the rotations initially with their spam comp, and we have to figure out another strategy here. The remaining members of Boise State are kind of kiting around, seeing if they can get any eliminations here, touching point, and members of Boise State are starting to respawn because we get back pretty quickly. Infernal's going to eliminate Chosen and Bagel, though, so that is no healing, but Abs is going to go down as well, so that is Bay State with just Brig healing. Neb says, I'm enough, and proceeds to eliminate both of the Boise State tanks, and that is a fight loss for Boise State, and they didn't even get a tick. And honestly, Boise State's biggest problem there was they just didn't rotate fast enough. There were members eliminated before Boise State was really set up where they wanted to be, but you can't just dive into the spam comp. And with that elimination on the app, Boise State's going to begin the fight. They're going to take down Neb. Bagel is the price, but a worthy price to pay because Boise State has respawn advantages. Faded and Infernal are going to go down, and Boise State lost first fight, but they're probably going to win this second fight, especially as Chosen go down. That is Boise State on the point, and Bay State being unlikely to contest here, but they're going to try. That Ash on the high ground takes Plato weak, but Plato's going to fall back to their supports on cart, exactly as you should when you're a threatened Reaper looking at an Ash. Bob's going to get dropped onto the plane. Puts a little bit of a wrench in Boise State's plan here, but Boise State popping out with the elimination, starting off with K with that Bagel elimination. Bob is also going to go down. The members of Bay State are on point. They're down 1 now even as Kel's going to go down, and so is Plato. They are now up 1. Matt Merckx is going to go down, but so is Depresso. Now down 2. Bagel's going to go down as well. Chosen's going to be the only member surviving with 5 HP, but with 99% of the point cap. That was a pretty good push by Boise State. It's unfortunate that they weren't able to get that final percent there, but now they have the ultimate advantage going into this fight, and provided nobody gets picked by the Orisa Supercharger or the Tracer Pulse Bomb at 69% there, Boise State should have this, especially as Max is going to get that elimination on Depresso, and then Coalescence comes out immediately after that. Boise State wants it. We have an upset in the making tonight, and Boise State has to win this fight if we want it to happen. Joker's going to get the elimination on Infernal, and Boise State up 2. And Bay State won't have enough time to clean wipe and recontest here because they only have to give up tick. Chosen's down, putting Boise State in an uncomfortable position with not a lot of healing, but we got a lot of damage, Matt Merckx says. as he gets an elimination on Tracer and Neb. Matt Merck will go down, but that is 0.1 to Boise State. And we didn't even have to use EMP. So, because we're at such a massive ultimate advantage, Boise State should just be able to snowball this and take it before we've ticked down to even 3 minutes. That is Boise State's plan right now. And we need Maxwell to live to do it. So be careful, and we need Plato to live to do it. So also be careful. As long as Boise State can get close at some point, massive ultimate advantage. Reaper Death Blossom is going to come out. He's not able to get any elimination, but a lot of damage. Chosen going to be taken weak, so Saberi comes out immediately after that. EMP comes out of 3 members of Bay State University, one of which is Infernal, who gets immediately eliminated after that with the Sigma ultimate. Boise State needs to be ready for the EMP on recontest. That is Boise State's biggest barrier right now. Infernal with the Sigma ultimate, and Depresso with the Sombra. Sombra ultimate doesn't matter though. Doesn't even matter when they've got 5 members because there's no follow-up except for Infernal's ultimate, which gets chosen. Boise State has to play more passively here, and Boise State might wipe before they even get a tick because Chosen was caught out by the EMP and the Sigma ultimate, and that is a fight lost for Boise State. We went for the snowball and we didn't get it because our main support fell to the EMP, Sigma ultimate, the one person that you can't lose on 2CP. But Boise State has 2 minutes and 36 seconds to bring this back, and I fully believe that they can going in, but they are going in at an ultimate disadvantage now because they used their ultimates and didn't get the value that they needed to get, which is Cap's second point. So Bay State now has the Orisa Supercharger that they've been holding on to, as well as a Reaper ultimate that is not going to get any value except for Plato, which leaves Boise State down 1. And you have to think maybe this isn't the push, especially as Kel and Matt Burke are going to be eliminated immediately after that. Boise State wisely just wiping after they lose one. They got an ultimate, they lost the fight. It's going to cost them about 15 seconds here. But now they have their own Reaper ultimate going in. They've forced the Sombra to translocate. She's halfway to EMP, so we'll likely get it mid-fight if this is a long one, or not at all. Boise State is just able to wipe this through, and Boise State definitely wants to do exactly that here. The worry is whether or not we have the ultimates to do it. Chosen's going to open up with the coalescence there. Infernal's going to go down, but so is Member. That is Boise State at a massive disadvantage without their main tank. Plato's also going to go down, as well as Faded. It's probably a fight lost for Boise State, but it's a fight that will force them to commit rally to. But now they've been able to charge the Sigma ultimate up to 94%, and that's not good. Fable does have sound barrier though. That is what tore our push apart last time, is the Sigma ultimate immediately after the EMP. But we have sound barrier immediately to answer should we need it. But we also have the EMP Sigma ultimate combo that gave us so many problems before that stopped our snowball. They have it again with 55 seconds remaining. Boise State has 2 good tries at this. So maybe this push is a dry push where we try to get as many ultimates out as we can without using any of our own. And then next push, immediately after that, we go in with our own ultimates. But so far, Bay State has only taken the bait with the Supercharger, getting out neither of the ultimates that Boise State was really worried about and still having a Death Blossom.
30 seconds remaining.
This is setting up for Boise State's final push here, and we haven't gotten a tick. We need a tick if we would like to win Temple of Anubis, because defending first point is almost an impossible ask. EMP is going to come out, stopping Boise State from doing what they want to do, but Cave's going to get the elimination on Chosen. First push is not looking very good, and Boise State doesn't even get, we get a single member on the point, immediately eliminated after that. Boise State, I don't think even gets to touch this second point, putting us in a very difficult position for this first point here. If we want to win Temple of Anubis, we just have to defend first point like our lives depend on it. And right now, to pull off the upset, we want this. We want to be able to defend this first point. But that's a big ask for Boise State here.
Initiating match.
This might be the time where Boise State pulls out something unexpected on Bay State, potentially a Bastion, potentially a Symmetra, potentially our own spam, which we tend not to run unless we absolutely need it. And Kel has been playing Sigma all night, so spam might be the answer there. But Boise State has to come up with something that Bay State's not ready for. Because we were unable to get a tick, we just have to defend first point if we want to win this. And Bay State, usually when teams are very even, they definitely get first point on 2CP. This is a huge ask. And Boise State has to pull out something they don't normally pull out. They have to raise themselves to levels previously unheard of if we want to do it. But we've been raising ourselves to levels previously unheard of all night tonight. So it's definitely still within the playbook that Boise State could win this and prevent us from going to another map. It does look like Boise State is going to run a dive. They're going to be looking to catch the members of Bay State off guard in rotation. That's what the comp does. And Maxwell needs to charge EMPs like he breathes if Boise State wants to win this. Maxwell's going to be taken very weak with only 13% of ultimate charge to speak of there. They will need a little bit of healing in the back. They're able to find it, come to Chosen, get the healing. It looks like the dive is popping up in the left-hand cave's going to be taken very, very weak. They will be able to capitalize on it. That is Boise State up one, but Chosen is not an acceptable price to pay there for an elimination on the DPS. Cal's going to get nabbed, though, and that's 3 minutes and 24 seconds remaining, and Boise State is actually going to win this fight. Even without a main healer, they're going to win this fight. So Chosen will have time to come back. Maxwell is 49 and climbing to EMP there, so that was ultimately a pretty good EMP charge fight that we may be able to use next fight, but Kel is weak. Somebody's got to feel for Kel in the back. Cat is going to be taken out. Kel will be eliminated, as well as Cave coming back in for the second time this fight just to get eliminated. And that's Boise State taking about a minute of their time off with first fight, which is pretty good. Maxwell is still only 78 to EMP though, and we'd really like to be able to open up this next fight with EMP, but really what we need to stop is the Echo Duplicate that is at 89%, because that could spell doom for Boise State's first point hold here. Depresso's going to get played out, not looking good for Boise State as they are down one. Sound barrier is going to be fully committed. Boise State needs to be aggressive. EMP is going to come out on the side of Maxwell, but if the elimination on the cave and out, Boise State might have this. We are now up one, and the main support's a huge one to be up, because Chosen is still alive, winning the battle with Valera, just lasting longer. Kel is going to go down to Depresso, though, at the cusp of the Echo Duplicate, but Boise State is still looking like they can win this fight. Chosen's going to go down, though, and so's Bagel, leaving Boise State with no supports in the fight, and Bay State at a respawn advantage. Boise State is going to give them 2 ticks and almost 3, and then likely recontest here with a Death Blossom, but Plato needs to live if we even want to touch, and Boise State doesn't even get to touch. We had the members to do it, but we couldn't get there fast enough, and now Boise State is just trying to draw and take it to another map here with 4 minutes and 40 seconds remaining on the clock here for Bay State. EMP is going to come out immediately after that. Death Blossom getting some eliminations. Matt Burke is going to go down, but with respawn advantage in Boise State's favor. Matt Burke and Plato are going to go down, though, which is not what we're looking for. Cade's going to go down, though. Boise State is pretty even here. We are down. Skill Orb is going to go ahead and get Infernal in the room there on the cusp of Chosen, and that is a lost fight for Bay State, but they have 4 minutes and 15 seconds. They have a lot of fights that they can afford to lose. About 6 or 7 if Boise State can draw these out. Maxwell does have EMP for next fight, so a huge EMP and early capitalization could end up winning this next fight for them. And that is a huge EMP. It's going to land on 4 members of Bay State University. Depresso is going to be the one that goes down first, though, as well as Faded. That is Boise State up 2. Now's the time to get in their spawn, but they can't do exactly that. They're not going to be, they're going to flank around the edge there. Maxwell looking for some value against the Reaper. Decides he doesn't want to take that 1v1. Understandable. And Boise State's just going to back up. They're just holding this door. They're demonstrating a lot of patience here. Boise State wants to draw this map. Matt Burke has the Monkey ultimate, which gives him a little bit of a safety net there as he walks into the whole team. But not a ton. The EMP is going to come out, leaving Matt Burke in a really difficult duel with a Reaper. Depresso's going to go down, but so is Matt Burke. And Boise State can't even touch the point. They were pushed off too far that they just got C9, and Bay State is going to win Temple of Anubis, leaving us at a 2-2. If Boise State wants to pull off the upset, they have to win this next map. There is no other option. There is no time for error, and there is no time to C9 off the point. Faded got some huge value here, getting the elimination on the Kel, Plato, and helping with Matt Burke. espresso was the price, but that is how they ended up defending that point, and it was huge. We are now at a 2-2 split. We are more than giving Bay State a run for our money, but we are now in final map territory, so Boise State cannot afford to keep making big mistakes like the C9. But a C9 is an easy thing to fix, is the good news there. And before we get to our 5th map, which will be Control again, we are going to go to a break.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Hello and welcome back to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. This is still Bay State versus Boise State. We are now 2-2 as we go in, and we are actually just gonna, as we go to a map 5 here, we are just gonna get right into that as soon as possible. It will be Nepal as we do our little around the world here. The feeling in the arena is still feeling pretty. We did take a little bit of a toll after Temple of Anubis, but the players have had a couple of minutes to reset and just kind of get in a better mental headspace to try to keep the energy up, because that's what we're going to need if we go against Bay State. And with that elimination on the Matmerk and Chosen, that's probably Boise State losing first fight on Control Nepal.
The objective is now active.
But good news is they clean wiped quickly, and so this doesn't have to end up being more than like 10% before Boise State's next engage here. Goblin is trying to get some EMP charge, does barely get out alive, which is exactly what we're looking for. 36 to EMP for a fight that was immediately lost is really good on the side of Goblin there, getting a bunch of EMP charge, and that shows that Boise State wants to win this. Boise State needs EMP to do that. Goblin 41% and climbing on that EMP. Swapped back in from Axel. They have been detected in the backline, unable to get a hack. Get locked in the rock animation and eliminated. That is Boise State down one. Not a good omen going into this next fight because Plato's eliminated. Abs is going to go down though, which is huge, but Chosen is immediately answered with an elimination of their own front cave. Maverick is going to get the elimination on Nave, leaving neither team with their supports here. Cal getting the pistol damage in there. Bay State 42 and climbing before Boise State finally even gets on the point with Goblin and Matt Merck, and it actually looks like they will be able to cap this. Almost. Fate is going to get eliminated, but Boise State has them where they want them. We're forcing them to come to us, and now we have point. Batmerk is going to run away to Chosen, which is understandable. Goblin's still 72 to EMP. Needs to charge it before this next engage, particularly before Infernal gets that 92 to Rabbinic Flux here. Bagel's going to help us into the enemy team, and Boise State is still 17% and climbing here, even as Goblin gets eliminated. 79 to EMP. Infernal's going to get the Sigma ultimate, though. Not what Boise State wants to see. Kel's going to go down because of that. Goblin already down Boise State down 2. Bagel committing the sound barrier to a fight, but we're already down 2. Really risky move here. But Boise State is sustaining, but not getting eliminations. Chosen's going to be kept up by the hacked health pack. Matt Merck is going to go down. They've rotated different ways. Bagel is also going to go down. That is Boise State lost fight, leaving us 53 to 44. 45 and still climbing. Members of Boise State are... Plato, no! Plato made a valiant effort to stay on that point there, but in the end it was just barely not enough. Boise State 58 to 49, but because of the way the ultimates are set up, this is not looking good for Boise State. Even though we're close in percent, we need the EMP to get off before Bay State can get off their rally. EMP's gonna come out strong for the Brig. They're trying to focus that Brig. Brig's gonna get eliminated before they get the rally off. Huge! Matt Merck is the price for that, but Boise State is still up 2. But with Sombra out of the fight, we are effectively just up 1. Depresso's gonna go down as well. The rest of the members are gonna fall quickly after that. Goblin, huge EMP. Boise State, huge target focus. You eliminated Net before they were able to use their rally, and that's what you needed to do. Now the ultimates are looking more even than they were before. We still need to watch out for 78 on Inferno's Gravitic for Flux. Flux, how does he charge those so fast? All we have to answer is the Chosen laser beam with that Moira ultimate there, and it does look like Boise State is going to commit the coalescence and eliminate, walk into them, but then back out as soon as that Brick rally is there. Chosen's going to get caught up in the Gravitic Flux, be forced, because they can't fade out of the animation of their ultimate. It feels like Chosen's ultimate actually is what eliminated them there more than the Sigma ultimate, as Maverick, Chosen, and Goblin are all going to go down. 86 to 91 and climbing. Plato's going to make sure we get as many percentage points on the point as we can. And with 86, Boise State has a comfortable fight where we have ultimates relatively even, and then Boise State just needs to win that fight to cap the point, and then Bay State will be put on their back foot. But first, we have to get through their doorway hold as we are put into overtime. Goblin is touching the point, almost gets eliminated. Another member of Boise State needs to touch. Matt Merck and Chosen are going to go down immediately after that. That is Boise State down 2. Now, Boise State is even because Bagel's going to pop off with a huge boost and the sound barrier. Depresso's going to go down, so is Plato, leaving both teams even. Neb's going to get a huge boost on the Cal, which is not what we're looking for. Bagel's going to go down in an overall valiant attempt on Boise State's part, but they're running out of bodies to put on this point. The good news is, so's Bay State. Matt Merck is going to monkey on that Brig on the point. I want you to get her so bad, even if she turns into a raid boss and lives just a little bit longer than Matt Merck. Boise State is unable to get to that point, even after some truly valiant efforts. And honestly, after that map, 195, Neb needs to be stopped. Neb on that Brig has been huge for Boise, has been huge against Boise State, and I would say that is their biggest problem that they are suffering from right now. Just the amount of sustain that Brig offers their team, and just has herself as well with some huge boops off of the point onto Kel. But 195, this is still easily within the winnable realm for Boise State here. Well, maybe not easily, just because both of these teams are really, really good, but it is fully within the realm of possibility that Boise State can take these next 2 maps. And with the potential for some aerial play here, there's not a lot that Neb can do against the Far Mercy. The Boise State is not running, but Neb and Depresso are running Echo Mercy. So it looks like there's just a full swap. Either way, the Brig isn't there anymore. But Boise State will really need to watch the amount of damage coming out of Zenyatta Mercy support. Boise State is in the room there. They are going to touch the point. It sounds like they're moving there just now. And with that wall onto the point, there's only one way Bay State can get there, and they are unable to do exactly that. And Boise State is just going to sit on the point for a little bit and force them to come to them. Teleporting high ground, trying to get Bay State off guard. They will be unable to get the Zenyatta and almost have the point taken from them, even as Plato gets a headshot icicle onto Cave. And it looks like Boise State is going to sustain through that fight. Abs gets the elimination onto Goblin, which feels real bad, losing your semester on the point. It prevents Boise State from setting up with the turrets on point the way they want to. Boise State is on their back foot here. Chosen's being threatened. Bagel's going to try to peel, but Chosen leaves the point and gets Echo beamed of doom, especially with the Discord and the Mercy damage to Assassin. Echo duplicate right onto the point, but Boise State is still sustaining. Bagel is running for his life, kiting on this point. Play-Doh Blizzard's gonna come out, and that's an elimination onto Neb, and that's an elimination onto Depresso immediately after that, especially out of the duplicated form. That's not actually an elimination onto Depresso. They're gonna pick it up. I thought they'd be able to eliminate them, but Depresso instead is just gonna pop off and turn on their hacks and eliminate 2 members of Boise State, even being walled on point alone. And that, but Boise State is still up by about 30%. That's about a fight in control. So Boise State is up a fight here. We were able to stall out for a lot of time. Boise State is at a slight ultimate disadvantage, but maybe a positional advantage as we teleport back into that room. And Boise State will have to rotate out together and use Shatter because there's nothing on Bay State to block it. Play-Doh bringing us back up one with Cave. Just like last time, Diva Bomb's going to get committed on the point. Chosen gets eliminated, not what Boise State's looking for here, but so does Neb. That is both main healers down, and Faded gets eliminated as well. But Bagel, Boise State has no support here. Matt Merck is going to commit the Shatter and really wants Depresso and ends up getting him. Chosen swapping over to the Moira, desperately trying to get this point on time. Matt Merck is living on borrowed time with that Discord Orb and less than half HP. Chosen's going to get there just in time, and Boise State's able to take that point, leaving us 40-67 and climbing. Boise State's biggest issue will be dealing with Depresso when they duplicate. And since Play-Doh has their Blizzard, I think whoever DPS ultimates this next fight wins. Boise State really needs to use ults aggressively going into this next one. And it looks like with a long rotating teleport, Bay State is able to get their members on the point, but Boise State is rotating around them in an unexpected way, taking the fight before we even get to the point. Play-Doh is weak, but ultimately unable to get the res, leaving both teams even. That is a Blizzard on the point by the Depresso. That's not what we're looking for, but 99! That's what we wanted, even as Boise State wipes. You can rest easy knowing that Depresso had to commit the duplicate, so the teams are looking even, actually almost in Boise State's favor here as we go into last fight. Boise State needs to win one fight to win this map on Nepal and put it 1-1 Nepal final map as both teams are 2-2 overall. Bay State needs to win 2 fights if they want to win. On paper, this looks like it might be Boise State's map. And they're just going to rush that point. They want it. They're going to send the Diva Bomb to stop anybody from touching. With an elimination on Abs, things are looking good. Chosen's coming for your mercy with that laser. Is unable to get it, but they get the count gets the elimination of the game. They do Boise State up 2 on the point. After looking against the Bay State are forced to just come to the point into the waiting arms of Boise State to get eliminated. And that is final fight 71-99 as point flips. Boise State is gonna take that map. And just to give you an idea of how close this whole thing is overall, we are 2-2 on map number 5 and then 1-1 on the final control map. It could not be closer between these two teams. And there's cowbell going on in the arena. Boise State feels good, and Boise State wants to win this. We want to pull off the upset. But of course, wanting it is not enough. Sometimes you just need Chosen to pop off on the Moira, or Bagel to pop off on the Lucio, or Matt Merck to get all of the eliminations as they're forced to walk to the point. Boise State has the desire to get this done, and we have the mechanical skill to do it too. We just need to keep our eye on the prize here and play together, because Boise State's rotations that fight and team play were truly something spectacular to behold. Bay State, it looks like neither team is going for the aerial play, and honestly can't say I missed Depresso on the Echo too much. That was giving Boise State some real problems. Matt Merck is going to get Discord Orb, but Boise State has the point, so Bay State has to come to them, except Boise State's going to teleport right into him. No eliminations coming out so far. Both teams able to sustain. Matt Merck is on the back line in your support. Abs and Neb are going to go down. That's Boise State up 2. Now only up 1 as Chosen's going to get eliminated, but Boise State has the point, and Chosen will likely be back before Bay State's next engage. Ultimately, a good fight start for Boise State, but Matt Merck has to play a little bit passively because Chosen's not there to heal him up. Infernal Cave and Faded are going to feed the Boise State ult charge here as we are 4% and climbing in their backline, in their touch Splendor challenge? It looks like Matt Merck is sending us Fire Strike to do just that, but the members of Boise State are not going to be quite that aggressive, as Abs gets eliminated twice in the same fight. And now, because that fight was so long and spread out, Boise State does have an ultimate advantage, but only if Bay State doesn't land the EMP of their lives here. And with Abs, 92 is finding to Tranquility. They're just going to commit to Tranquility. Plato will be caught out with Sar, Depresso, and Neb. Goblin with a huge Deadeye onto the main healer of Bay State. You have to think that's probably a fight win. But then Goblin and Bagel go down, just kind of adding to the storyline here. This is scrappy. Both teams are down there main support. Both teams have no support at all and are just playing with 4 HP in Dell's case on the point. But it looks like Boise State is going to get some support back onto the point by way of Bagel, and Chosen is certainly on their way. Boise State still has this 57 in climbing. Boise State needs to win 2 more fights to take it 0 to 100 and to take a win against Bay State. And we have the ultimate advantage. Boise State is playing an ultimate game. That's bad. Depresso getting the first pick onto Chosen, that's bad. Boise State has to play passive and maybe not commit anymore. Boise State can afford to lose this fight. And it looks like the call is made. They just die point. Matt Merck gets nipped, though, which is ultimately what we're here for. Boise State still just needs to win about 1 fight, about 1 or 2 fights, as 80%. Close enough for Boise State to win here, but Bay State has charged a lot of ultimates off of that last fight, and Boise State will have a rough time approaching them at an ultimate disadvantage. And so it looks like we're trying to do something tricky with the teleporter, but Depresso's going to get Goblin and cost Boise State probably 5 to 7% more as we just wait for him to respawn. Bagel's on it. Bagel's going to get him. Boise State isn't even going to try to push this down Goblin, which is understandable, and they shouldn't. Boise State just needs to win 1 good fight here to flip the point. 37 and climbing for Bay State. They have a little bit of time to do it. Matt Merck is backed up. Depresso on that Hanzo is being a menace as they eliminate Plato as well. And that is another fight that looks like it's just thwarted for Boise State. They had time to begin with, and they still have a little bit, but they just have 1 more fight that they can afford to lose before Bay State will overtake them in terms of percent. And now, Boise State has more of an ultimate advantage. He likes this fight going in. Every Cage Makers goes out, but so does Deadeye. Deadeye will be able to demech the Diva and just get the elimination, Goblin says. Gonna try to flashbang, unable to get anything there. Boise State 3 members on the point, 2 members on the point. Just playing on the point. Bagel's gonna go down to Dragons, which is really unfortunate, but so are Goblin and Kel. And that is a fight loss for Boise State right there, but it cost Bay State all of the ultimates they had, and Boise State almost all of the ultimates they had. And now Boise State is put in the really uncomfortable position of now either team just has to win a fight to take it to 99. But Boise State will get 1 final engage here, and with that elimination on the Plato, it's not looking good. And especially as Chosen goes down, that might be Boise State's fate sealed here, unless they can do something truly tricky. But Goblin gets the elimination on the Cave, which is what we're looking for. Bagel is trying to survive on this point. They end up not being able to live to Neb. Plato's going to drop the shield just in the middle of the point and try to burn down that Baptiste, which would be huge. They are unable to do it as Inferno is going to eliminate them. But the remaining members of Boise State are on the point. We do have Chosen and Matt Merck on the point at the same time, which is huge. And Boise State is just going to get booped off, and Bay State is going to go ahead and take that. But Boise State could not have made that a closer game against them tonight. Ned was a menace on that Brig, and so it is not a shock to see that they're playing the game with this on the call, because they got the elimination, they ended up getting the whip shot, and they just sustained their team, which is really everything you can ask of your Brig, even picking the Lucio off of the wall there. And that is we're definitely disappointed, but Boise State really did everything that they could do, and it feels like every time we go against Bay State, even though they win, we get closer to the breakthrough. And that breakthrough wasn't tonight. We were really hoping it was going to be, but it didn't happen, and we just GG go next. But there are definitely a lot of things that went right for Boise State against the Bay State. There was a time when Boise State wouldn't even like dream of taking even like maps off of Bay State. But at this point, we took not only maps, but we forced them to the map 5. This is the second time we've done this. And we were 99-0. I think finally 80-100 at the final fight there. It was close. And there are a lot of individual players that we could highlight for player of the game, but I want to say that the most consistent throughout all of the maps, I would say for player of the game, would be Matt Merck. Because Matt Merck was very, very consistent on every single tank that they played, and that's the name of the game, especially as we go into it. It will be Gob, because Gob did pop off several times, which is always what we're looking for, but sometimes it's just an issue with consistency, which is why they will end up being your player of the game, just because the pop-offs are always cool. Gob certainly has an amazing highlight reel to pull off here. This first point Havana hold was mostly off of the shoulders of some truly cracked Cole Cassidy play on behalf of Gob. And the Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game is brought to you by, of course, Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central's helping members achieve financial success. Gob is the Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game, and honestly, it felt like it could have gone to a lot of different members on Boise State. Gob will end up getting it, but there are definitely the other 5 members deserve highlights too, because when you take that many maps off of Bay State, everybody must be doing something right. And we're going to leave you with our top 5. Tonight wasn't the breakthrough we were looking for, but we do have some top 5 incredible plays from tonight. And with some ultimates coming on Bay State, it'll just be a matter of how fast they can charge them. They're going to get the elimination on the cave. They're going to get on Forgotten. That is Boise State up 2. Played them now only up 1. Boise State down both of their tanks. Matt Merck is going to get a huge shatter. And off the cusp of that, Goblin with the dead eye. Goblin's going to get a huge Hawk Week. Amplification measure still not coming out as both Maywalls are going to come down. Infernal on the Diva going to get back. That is Abs, Mycon, and Cave all down as Boise State is going to push through and get faded on that Reinhardt. That is a fight win for Boise State, and Bay State will unlikely be able to touch. So now at this point, it is just Hawk Week. Amplification measure still not coming out as both Maywalls are going to come down. Infernal on the Diva going to get back. That is Abs, Mycon, and Cave all down as Boise State is going to push through and get faded on that Reinhardt. That is a fight win for Boise State, and Bay State will unlikely be able to touch. So now at this point, it is just State the ultimates are still pretty even. So it will come down to individual play and individual ultimate. Yes! Usage as Goblin's going to get that elimination on the Mycon, who just went barely beyond the shield there. Faded's going to follow up on that. Boise State's up 2. Now they're just up 1. Now they're back up 2 again as Abs is going to go down. That is no amplification matrix. But Boise State will have to watch out for Sound Barrier and Blizzard. Even as that Deadeye's going to come out, not get any eliminations immediately, but then Goblin's going to get faded. Matt Merck landing a huge shatter, not even letting him reset after they're down their main tank. That's going to buy Boise State an extra at least 10 seconds, and that's